main engine, they call it a TLI, translunar injection, that will send the spacecraft towards the moon. And then after that burn, other than some minor course adjustments with the maneuvering thrusters, they will coast that entire way.
Fox's Jonathan Seri at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. NASA confirms the Orion capsule's only toilet is okay to use. The fan had been reported to be jammed. America's listening to Fox News.
For years, I've talked about Relief Factor. You've heard stories about the people who finally found real relief after trying the 3-week quick start. I'm one of those stories. My pain had become so bad that I was starting to believe that my best days were behind me. This is like 10 years ago. Relief was not in the picture until I tried Relief Factor. They are always striving to help people get out and stay out of pain. And remarkably, Relief Factor has made their already trusted formula even better. They've added premium black pepper extract because apparently that helps your body absorb the high-quality key ingredients more efficiently. So in simple terms, it helps your body get even more benefit from what you're already taking. And that matters. If you're going to take something daily, you want your body actually using as much of it as possible. So if you've been listening to me talk about Relief Factor for a while, this is your moment. Or if you're already taking it, you're now going to get the enhanced formula designed to work even smarter. Start with a 3-week quick start. It's $19.95 at relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. How will it feel to be out of pain? relieffactor.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los on Thursday. Gosh, yesterday was quite the day, and today actually is going to be quite the day, too. At 9:25, Brad Raffensperger will join us about his quest to become governor of the state of Georgia. And Los and I have been brainstorming and just thinking about questions that are important to ask. And respectfully, absolutely treat Brad with the utmost respect. But I think we have some pretty good questions that need to be answered if you're going to be governor of Georgia.
He is the one candidate running for governor where I believe there's more answers that need to be stated about what's gone on here in the past than any other candidate. And that's a strange scenario to be in, where you want to talk about your plans for Georgia, what are the ideas that you like, why you're the best option. At the same time, it's not like you're trying to go through. It's not like somebody found a hooker in the trunk, okay?
No.
But it was national news what happened here during the 2020 election, and so you gotta balance the two, and that's what we'll be interested in doing at 9:25 today.
And everybody that knows him, that I know, I guess we have a couple mutual friends or acquaintances, I should say, and
lovers,
lover that says he's the nicest dude you'll ever meet in your whole life. Just super kind, even keeled, very. Well,
that's what's going to make it so interesting.
Yeah, I know.
When he gets mad at you.
I know, because I you just got to ask the right questions, and I think we'll have some to ask. And look, there's been plenty of people reach out on social media with questions, emails coming through with questions, and most of them were just yelling and angry. So I probably won't go with those.
I get it, but that's
the frustration is there.
That is the inspiration that he has created and the scenario has created.
And he knows that.
Right.
It's not new. It's not new. Yeah.
It's the same way.
Which is why I think he wants to come here. He wants to be able to say, I talked about it.
Yeah, we have talked with other candidates and they've had to talk about their past in other industries.
Yeah.
And to think that, well, when I was doing this work, I would get this criticism. This is different.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely right.
I mean, it's along the same vein, except it played out nationally.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, though. I don't think I've ever done an interview quite like the one that is coming up this afternoon.
Like Coach Dooley. Coach Dooley still has to talk about his time at Tennessee.
Yeah, sure.
Before he can start saying why he's the right pick for Georgia.
That's exactly right, man.
But it didn't affect the presidential race.
No, right. These decisions, the role that Secretary of State Raffensperger held did, and so it'll be fun. I look forward to it. And here's the thing, I think people are expecting him to cower or back down or not want to address those. And from my perspective, I don't think that's the case at all. I think that's exactly why he wants to come here, is because he wants to address it with you. And that says a lot about you, actually.
Yeah, the feedback, I'm sure, on the trail has been find as many places as you can to talk about what has gone on.
Yeah.
Your role, what occurred, what your view of all of that ended up playing out to be. I just think that that's what you have to do to reach these audiences for them to give you maybe the second or the third look.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, and if he knows, just like you hear all the time, if you want to win, your path comes right through Extra 106.3.
What do we tell Bryce all the time? Your way in this world is through the Morning Extra, sir.
That's right.
The same thing goes for you politically.
That's right. You and your new Braves hat. I love it, dude.
Stop.
Yeah. Dude,
Making me blush over here.
It's pretty nice.
That's a solid one.
He's got a white Braves hat with a blue A, and it just looks sharp. It looks clean.
Multicolored rope on the front, which is very 90s and very back. But yesterday went over to the Braves game for a couple innings, hung out with the folks from the Warrior Alliance, had a nice little gathering. They're just talking about what the future and some of the decisions that are coming down the pike. You know, they've got they've been named the official partner of the Austin Riley Golf Tournament. So they are the new beneficiary of Austin's tournament, which our sister station, The Fan, has been involved with for as long as the tournament's been going on, as far as I know. And you could probably answer that better than I could, Los. But that came out. The Warrior Alliance community partner, the award show that they do over at the Roxy is coming up at the end of the month. It's got a lot going on, and we've had some really cool guests. Yesterday, we recorded with a guy and his wife. He was a Army Ranger, and dude has seen some stuff. Like when I talk about my service time, like it was awesome. It was great, and I was able to see a lot of the world, and I saw missiles fired, and I saw aircraft loaded down with missiles and come back empty. I saw all that, right? But my boots weren't on the ground, right? I was lobbing in stuff from 5 miles out. You know what I mean?
I'm pressing a button.
Yeah, exactly.
I hear it exploded.
It's a tick. Well, maybe we even saw it on video. You know what I mean? It was very late 90s, so it was very grainy video, but we saw some of it on video. That dude saw some stuff. And I was blown away. It's one of those jaw droppers where you're like, "Oh my heavens!" It's always incredible to catch up with those special operators, but to have his wife in here too, who's gone to work with the Warrior Alliance, different dynamic.
So that'll probably drop next week. We expecting
probably a little longer out,
okay.
but in the next few, yeah.
So while you were playing grab butt, that's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, right. Let me tell you, if I'd have grabbed that man, he would have beat me to death. He would have beat me to death.
So I spent 2.5 hours listening to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And the case on the 14th Amendment.
Yeah,
and
you had it
Birthright
on when
Citizenship.
you were walking out of the building.
I spent about 2.5 hours with that. I watched a rocket launch to go to the moon. And then I waited for the President of the United States at 9 o'clock to address the nation. Mm-hmm. So it was a pretty full day.
Yeah,
again, you were playing baseball and talking to the Army Rangers. And this is what I did, this is what you did. Me, I was doing the Lord's work when it came to this show.
Amen.
At least Trump was respectful to y'all's time last night.
Yeah, he was.
Yes.
It was like 15 minutes, man. It was really quick. And I loved what he said for the most part. Not even for the most part. I loved what he said. He was very straightforward. Hey, here's what I've been saying since 1988 in interviews with Barbara Walters about Iran and the nuclear weapons that they cannot possess. I love what he said about the Straits of Hormuz, and we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, Donald Trump ended up making a point. Again, I appreciate it because I was battening down the hatches.
Dude, I was hanging
like, are we going like an hour and a half? Or what are we doing here?
Dear heavens, President, please.
I thought it was clear. It was clean. It was what needed to be said. And when he talked about the Straits of Hormuz, this is what he pointed out about it.
So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before, should have done it with us as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it, protect it. use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy.
All right, so I was reading this in theory because we kept talking about the Strait, talking about a 6-mile area by which that fuel runs through, and how when you look at what our oil needs are in comparison to the rest of the world, it's not important.
2%, maybe 2% of the stuff we get is from there of anything.
It's not important to us the way it's important to other people.
Almost 0%.
I firmly now believe that this administration has used this scenario as far as this is what we're doing in Iran, and if you choose to not be involved, then you will feel the economic pain of it. And we're not going to commit to opening up the Strait unless you do, because we're not going to feel the economic pain of this.
Yeah, it didn't bother us any.
It's like, how about you, Europe? What are y'all doing?
Y'all get a whole lot, like in the 50, 60, and 70% range of what you get comes through there.
And when you spend so much time within their media, and this being the Europeans, talking about how they're warmongers and Trump's a cowboy and here's what they're doing. Well, it's not hurting us day to day. It's hurting you relatively. You know, we've seen a dollar increase or 35 cents, 45 cents, depending on your area, in gasoline. It is going to be astronomically different for Europe. So all you're seeing this administration to say is, well, you keep criticizing us, you and your liberal think tanks. Why don't you do something about it?
And Keir Starmer made a statement, and I'm looking for it. It prompted me to think about it. It's increasingly clear that the world continues down this volatile path. Our long-term national interest requires partnership in our allies with Europe and the European Union. And that was yesterday. I think that Keir Starmer is in a position where he cannot win. And it's of their own making, unfortunately. They're trying to screw over the United States. We're not coming to your aid. And then many of the NATO partners away from Keir Starmer are not letting us use the air bases that we have jointly, like in Rota or an air base in Sigonella, Sicily. I've been to both of those bases during deployments. We're not allowed to use those. So you have NATO kind of screwing us over there. And then Keir Starmer basically saying, we're until everything is easy and done, we're not going to jump in, we're not going to help. And I realized, it came to me at late yesterday, maybe even late afternoon, somewhere in there. And I was like, oh, this is why. They have a Muslim problem, an Islamist problem across Europe. What happens when they've already lost the continent? By and large, they've already lost that continent. What happens if they attack a mostly, or I guess completely, Muslim nation? What happens in Europe? What becomes of those cities that have been overrun by open borders? What happens? Is it terrorist attacks? They already have those, but does that ramp up? Did they become overwhelming? It just hit me out of the blue. I was like, oh, of course that's it.
It's a rock and a hard place, isn't it?
Of course that's it.
They cannot offend their new brethren.
Dude.
Because they like to get violent to the newcomers. And yet, economically, they're being smashed. So what do? And for Trump, it's pretty easy. You do what makes the most economic sense.
Of course.
For the rest of Europe.
Yep. And dude, we have our own problems with Islamic extremists, Muslim extremists. I mean, look at Dearborn. We'll talk about the guy that's running for Senate that said he didn't want to make a statement on the Ayatollah because there were people in Dearborn that were sad about the Ayatollah's death. And, you know, his security detail, his head of security, which is a former Marine, has left saying that he is too radical to run for Senate. So we have our own problems. That's the reason I pointed out, to paint the picture that, look, we're in a bad place, too, because of open borders over the last 4 years, and maybe even over the last 20, 30 years, truly. But the last 4 years were the most detrimental.
Now imagine it in mass. You know, part of the issue that happened during the 2024 election, not for us, it worked out quite well. But part of the problem that you had going on the Democrat Party was when the most logical, in my opinion, was Josh Shapiro to select as a running mate.
Yep.
Yet the concern was from the amount of Muslims within their party who were voting in the state of Michigan. What if they stayed home if they were running somebody who was Jewish? That was their concern, along to go with some of the anti-Semitism that had been popping up on college campuses. So you ended up going with no Queens. Yeah. Right? You selected Tim Walz.
Yeah.
All right. It could have been you went with a state that you weren't going to lose, and you picked a guy that you didn't vet. I mean, think about just the implications of had you taken somebody that probably would have delivered you the state of Pennsylvania, because
at a minimum.
But by the time that the state of Pennsylvania went for Trump, that was the end of it.
Yeah.
It was over. We went to bed at like 11:30, thinking this was going to go until like 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah, not at all.
But that's them having to play this game. Now imagine Europe on a much larger scale.
Which yes, it is unreal what's happened. I mean, you got people in Ireland being locked up for saying Ireland's for the Irish.
For the Irish.
They're freaking locking them up, saying you can't offend.
That is hate speech, sir.
And then I saw a statement saying that women should wear traditional Muslim head scarves as to not offend the Muslim people living in Europe. And it was in different parts. There were different leaders that were saying it. And I was just like, wait. You mean Christian women? You're telling Christian women they should do that? What are you talking about? As to not offend. Because they're afraid, again, of what might happen.
And so this is the Trump administration putting that sort of pressure on the European leadership.
If you want it, go get it.
If you need your economic security, have at it. Because we could clean out the strait pretty quickly. Why are we not doing it? I think it's because we're putting the political pressure on Europe to do something.
Absolutely. They've been
we're not, this ain't hurting us.
Yeah.
That bully not messing with us.
They've been a terrible partner. We've talked about that a million times, just how bad of a partner that NATO has been. And
I think it also makes it easier to even leave NATO.
Well, sure it does. And that's exactly what it seems like they're setting up for, because Trump has addressed it. Marco Rubio has addressed it. There have been plenty of people who've addressed that. Now it is out in front. And there's an article from Politico that I saw early this morning. Surprisingly, where it came from, though. Obviously, Politico is not a conservative outlet. But I'm going to read you just a quick piece of it. And it says, quote, "It's like these MFers always talk about Article 5, Article 5, Article 5, said a person close to the White House who was granted anonymity to share unvarnished views of the president's thinking, referring to the alliance's principles that an attack on one is an attack on all."
Yes.
Okay, well, Iran has been blowing up our soldiers and ripping off our wings for, half a century. And we finally responded. And now they're going after all of our major non-NATO allies and the United States. And you guys are not only saying you're not going to help, but you're closing airspace to us? Really? It's the same thing that I've been expressing to you for as long as this show has existed. I don't like NATO. I think NATO is a bad partnership. And so did George Washington, who didn't even know that NATO was going to be a thing, but he knew about the entanglements that it would get us in.
So that Trump message last night, yes, it was for us. But it wasn't only for us.
That's exactly right.
That was for the Iranians.
That's right.
Not that they're going to get it from not having internet for 30 days already.
They won't see it for a while.
But it was as much for Europe to let them know what the expectations are. We are in charge, baby.
I want to play you one more. Marco Rubio, listen to this.
If now we have reached a point where the NATO alliance means that we can't use those bases, that in fact, that we can no longer use those bases to defend America's interests, then NATO is a one-way street. Then NATO is simply about us having troops in Europe to defend Europe. But when we need their help, not their help, we're not asking them to conduct airstrikes. When we need them to allow us to use their military bases, their answer is no. Then why are we in NATO? You have to ask that question. Why do we have billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars, over the years, trillions of dollars, and all these American forces stationed in the region. If we can only use, in our time of need, we're not going to be allowed to use those bases. So I think there's no doubt, unfortunately, after this conflict is concluded, we are going to have to re-examine that relationship. We're going to have to re-examine the value of NATO and that alliance for our country. Ultimately, that's a decision for the president to make, and he'll have to make it. We're going to finish the job here. As I said, we're very, very close to achieving our objectives on all of these things that I've outlined. But I do think, unfortunately, we are going to have to re-examine whether or not this alliance that has served this country well for a while is still serving that purpose, or is it now become a one-way street where America is simply in a position to defend Europe, but when we need the help of our allies, they're going to deny us basing rights and they're going to deny us overflight? I think these are very legitimate questions that we need to be asking, and this are going to have to be very carefully examined after this conflict is over.
Dude, that's why what Los just said is so true, and it rang so clear for me. That message wasn't mostly for you and I would even say. It was mostly for NATO.
It was to let them know.
Yeah.
These are the expectations by which we will provide for your defense and your aid. But it's not going to be a one-way street. Not under this administration.
We're done with those days. Call me cowboy if you'd like.
Sure.
I'll take the cowboy. This is Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Iran and the world has met its match in one man. Next on the Morning Extra.
Listen to the Morning Extra, The Kimmer Show, Neil Bortz, and all your favorite Extra 106.3 personalities whenever you want with the all-new Extra app. It's anytime show replays, all your favorite podcasts, and the latest political news from across Georgia. Download the Extra 106.3 app now for Apple or Android.
April fun continues as the Braves roll into the second homestand of the season, April 10th through the 12th, when the Cleveland Guardians come to town. The weekend is packed full of fun, including 80s night on Friday the 10th. Fans can look forward to an 80s prom and arcade games at the Blue Moon Beer Garden, live music from the 80s, and much more. Plus, the first 15,000 fans will receive a Dale Murphy replica jersey presented by Truist. Visit Braves.com/promos to see all the details. The homestand continues with the Miami Marlins April 13th through the 15th. The series is a part of the Braves Spring Value Games, where you can get $10 tickets and parking, deals on ballpark favorites like $2.50 hot dogs and $3.99 Miller High Lifes. Plus, big deals on merchandise at the Braves Clubhouse store. Bring your crew to experience unbeatable value. Find the details at Braves.com/value. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves Country.
This is Flounder, and if you want fewer HVAC surprises, call Dobbs Heating and Air. The Dobbs Club membership includes 2 maintenance visits a year, and right now you get a 3rd visit free. That means better efficiency, longer system life, and improved indoor air quality. You get priority scheduling, 15% off repairs, and no overtime charges. Plans start at just $199 with membership starting at $17 a month. Service calls are only $85. Dobbs Heating and Air. Local, honest, and dependable. Find them at dobbshvac.com.
Spring is here, and it's time to transform your outdoor living space into a beautiful oasis. At Stovall & Company, Wholesale Landscape Supply, we have what you need to make your landscape dreams a reality.
Stovall has been supplying the landscape industry for more than 75 years.
So check us out at StovallInc.com.
Stovall has it all.
Hey, it's Front Office Los with Tom, the honest car guy. Let's talk about the new way to buy a car in 2026. Tell me how you can save clients thousands of dollars in this process.
I got a customer here, Jeff Everhart. I met him today first time because I delivered his 25 model Honda Pilot, fully loaded with only 16,000 miles on it. Jeff, answer Los's question about that one.
It was actually shocking. I mean, you hear the advertisements, you want to believe it, and then when you go through with the sale, and there's no extras, there's no dock fees, there's no storage fees, no transportation fees. The price I was given was the price that I paid plus their honest fee. I did save thousands of dollars, and it was a very quick sale.
Well, we appreciate that.
And did it from my living room.
Did it from your living room.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Thursday, April 2nd, and here are your headlines. Metro Atlanta nonprofit is opening a new headquarters to help people transition out of homelessness, with 160 housing units now available for program graduates. Leaders with Georgia Works say they have already helped more than 1,200 men get jobs and off the street, with rent set well below market rates. Doctors are warning about possible vision risk linked to the popular GLP-1 weight loss drugs, including swelling of optic nerves that can lead to vision loss. Experts recommend getting a comprehensive eye exam before and shortly after starting the medication. And finally, a major literacy bill is now awaiting Governor Brian Kemp's signature, aiming to address low reading rates statewide. The plan would place literacy coaches in schools and come as about 60% of third graders are not reading on grade level. You're not going to want to miss Brad Raffensperger joining the program at 9:25 this morning. Today's weather will be mostly sunny with a high of 85 and a low of 63. Your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Gobert.
I think the world has met its match with Donald Trump. And I want you to hear from a former Iranian regime prisoner. He lit up a CNN panel over Trump's handling of the war. And he was praising Trump's handling of the war and the war of words. I'm going to destroy his name, but it's Kian Tabashish.
Close enough. Sounds good. You said it with confidence.
I did the best I could. He was cut off because he was praising Trump's communication style, saying the Iranians have met their match, at least the regime. Listen to this.
It's very hard to believe anything that comes out of his mouth. And I think that when he's so flippant and cavalier in things like these Truth Social posts, where he calls it our lovely little stay in Iran. Why? Why be so stupid when there's 13 dead Americans?
I want to share one thing about Donald Trump's communication style. When I spoke to someone inside Iran who I trust, he runs a very big business. He's not a politician, but he has to follow very closely all the tea leaves. He told me that guy is a genius, and he's talking about Trump. And I said, why? He said, because he's completely confused the Iranians. Finally, the Iranians have met someone who is like a match for them. Iranians
But do you think that's really true?
I think it's true.
I think it's true.
The idea that he has confused them so much, but at the same time, here we are 5 weeks into this war. Iran still they just attacked an oil tanker in the region.
And then he would go on to try to explain himself again. They would cut him off again.
Abby Phillips is invested in the Iranians are winning.
Yeah, she loves it. But the whole network is. The whole network is invested into that.
And I think Tug explained this very simply. When you are doing refueling operations over an enemy territory, you have total air superiority.
And a B-52, this is not a fast-moving airplane.
And since World War II, air superiority is winning. When you can control the skies over any territory, you're winning. Now, you can always tell me, well, they still have some drone freights. Okay, good luck. When they are right now launching between 1 and 8 ballistic missiles a day, versus at the height, they were launching 300. What do you think that says?
And then, on top of that, Los, it says their capability has been greatly degraded. But also, look where they're firing them.
Yes.
They're firing them, yes, Israel, but all the Gulf states, all the people that share their religion, that supposedly share their values. You think Bahrain is pissed that they've been hit by missiles from Iran? You bet they are. Do you think the Crown Prince in Saudi Arabia is pissed that he's getting bombed by his neighbor? Yeah. They're real pissed, and they have a vested interest in what Iran does moving forward. That's why I think it's important to hand this off to them.
This smells of 30 years ago. When the Gulf War, the original Gulf War, when Saddam Hussein went into Kuwait, and when the coalition forces decided, we're rooting you out of there, you had the scenario where Iraq did not fire on Kuwait, and they did not fire on Saudi Arabia. Now, yeah, there was the occasional missile here and there, but the Patriot missile systems were there to defend Israel, because Iraq started firing at Israel in hopes of creating a regional war where everyone would come to Iraq's defense. In this case, it's just different.
It's the exact opposite.
Iran started firing on everyone else last September. So they already pissed off all of their neighbors. So the whole idea of we'll let loose these errant missiles and maybe it'll create this conflict where suddenly it's a quagmire. No, they're already all mad at you to start with. This is stupid.
Furious with you. And here's another thing. You and I have said we don't want ground troops. Most Americans say they don't want ground troops. So this is the perfect exit ramp for Donald Trump, I believe. And here's another reason, because you brought up the Iraq War and Desert Storm when we took out Saddam Hussein. We were trying to win hearts and minds. We were trying to convince people that had not a lot in common with us to listen to us about who we were going to install in the government we were going to install. We're not making that mistake this time.
No.
Let the people in the region that have some sort of relationship, that has some sort of commonality with those people in Iran, let them win the hearts and minds. They're not going to listen to us.
No,
most
not at
of them. At least anybody in some sort of government official capacity, IRGC, you think they're going to listen to the United States? No, they're not. That's why no ground troops makes sense. That's why handing this off to the people in the region that do have a commonality makes the most sense.
I think that when it comes to the overall strategy, we're going to be, when it comes from an operational perspective, in and out. This is not going to be, when we look at the amount of support that Donald Trump has, and it's about 96% of the Republican base that are on board with this. The only way that falters is a prolonged mission with boots on the ground, which I believe is why we're not going to see that. But just as you said, Tug, I believe that next phase is, all right, we handled it. Now the Middle East, y'all handle Middle Eastern issues.
It's yours.
In the same way that's what's going on with the Palestinians.
Yep.
You all handle that rebuild and handle this issue.
And I would even say for the United States, our focus in our hemisphere is Cuba right now. We already handled the Venezuelan problem, and that looks like it is going the way that we want it to as a country. Because some people are going to say that, oh, he's turning tail and running. No, I mean, what is he running from?
We're winning.
We're beating
by
the
a lot.
Daylights out of them. So you get that win. You start focusing on the homeland. Of course, he wants to focus on the midterms, which I understand. But he's about to get another big win down in Cuba, Los. That is about to happen. I found a piece of audio from CNN, of all places, where they went down to interview the grandson of Raul Castro. And you have play just a little bit. I want you to hear what Raul Castro's son says about capitalism.
We actually would welcome, he says, speaking for himself, a deal with Donald Trump. I don't like his threats, is what he told me. But if he opens up the island, if he improves the economy here, then it could all work out for the best. And so let's just listen to this conversation, which was more than a little surprising. What would your grandfather, Fidel Castro, say that you're more capitalist than communist?
My grandfather was a person who had his principles like everyone else, but he also respected others' opinions. That's my way of thinking.
But all the capitalists had to leave Cuba.
There are many people in Cuba that think in a capitalistic way. There are many people here who want to have capitalism with sovereignty.
Dude, when would you have ever thought that a person with the last name Castro would be welcoming capitalism? Donald Trump's about to get a big win, Los, and Marco Rubio is the person that's going to plant the flag.
Without firing a bullet, without dropping a bomb. That's the interesting part. This is the domino effect of what happened in Venezuela.
And when he allowed that Russian oil tanker to get in, because in that video, if we would have went further in that CNN presentation, his own apartment was blacked out. He had nothing in his refrigerator because it was running off a small generator, but beer. so at least we got that.
Living me and the Tug life.
That's exactly right. He clearly knows how to
make sure we keep this cold.
But the fact that he's also living in a one-bedroom apartment, he's kind of the de facto person that the administration is dealing with, and he's saying that. And then Trump lets the oil tanker in to provide some sort of energy to help the island, to say, look, this is in good negotiation. I'm trying to do a favor here, and I want you to know that I'm willing to trade out with you.
How ridiculous is it that 90 miles off of our coast and 90 miles off of the Cuban coast, lies the richest country in the world, yet they don't have power.
It's unreal. One of the most beautiful places in the world, too.
Yet they're running around with cars from the 1950s.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, there has to be a realization, and again, it's happened with the people there. It's happened with the people that have left Cuba. It's happened with people that are Cuban who have been born here. They know it's a backwards place because of their government. And the sooner it's gone, the faster it'll catch up with the rest of the Caribbean.
Can you imagine flights to Cuba for vacation because it's an open society? It's no longer communist. There are going to be beautiful resorts. There's going to be opportunity for the Cuban people to use their resources to benefit them, not a communist regime, to benefit them.
Well, and that's the problem. Barack Obama opened it up to tourism when he was president. Yet you didn't have the economic growth you ever thought you would have because everything's run by the government. So when somebody wants to build like the next great resort, the government's like, well, how much is that going to cost? All right, it's $200 million. And the government says, all right, well, you have to pay us $200 million up front.
We're gonna take all the money.
How else are we going to pay for this communism?
Yeah, that's absolutely right, dude. It's going to be so good. So that's going to be another win that Donald Trump is about to get. And I think that one's going to even overshadow what's happening in Iran because this has been a thorn in the side 90 miles off the American coast since JFK. That's how long it goes back. You want to talk about a win and the fact that you talked about it, not one shot fired. All it took was, hey, see what we did in Venezuela to Maduro? Castro kid, we could do that to you too. So that's when he said, yeah, I'm willing to talk to him. Of course you are. Because the other side of the coin is, we'll do to you just like we did Maduro.
Just going to say this. I want to end the 7 o'clock hour with everyone thinking about this. We'll turn that discombobulator loose on you.
Son.
You will start bleeding out your eyeballs and your ears and your nose.
And your butt.
And maybe even your rectum. I don't know where you bleed from, but I mean, the discombobulator makes you bleed.
It's going to be a lot of places.
You might bleed out of every orifice, and you're like, oh, don't mess with the Americans. They have a discombobulator.
Can you see Trump sending him an email? Like,
do you want to bleed from your butt?
Here's what's going to happen in the video is just whatever they did to those
those Cuban defenders.
Poor kids, Ow, it hurts, it burns.
Because you know we had cams on our guys.
Of course.
And they're all laying on the ground, bleeding and crying.
Should Trump be so happy to hit send on that? Son, if you don't act right, here's what's coming. That's why
we have alien technology and you will bleed from your butt.
Nobody wants to bleed from their butt. Nobody. I mean, I feel like that's a fact we can all say.
Nobody wants to bleed.
I feel like that is, I feel free.
Listen, they're random places to bleed from. That's one of them that I would say.
Cut finger?
X.
Cut finger stinks.
No. Yeah.
Bleeding from the backside? Awful.
No.
Never good.
Bad idea.
6 o'clock hour. Brought to you by Subaru Gwinnett. I wanted to give you a heads up about Back Your Blue in America 2 is pleased to once again make the present the Make America Gala, benefiting the Joe Burson Scholarship Fund and Police Foundations of Holly Springs and Cherokee County. Saturday, May 16th, Rustics Banner in Holly Springs. One-of-a-kind event. It's going to be so much fun as we celebrate and honor the fallen Holly Springs police officer, Joe Burson. Dinner, drinks, live music, silent auction, carriage rides, hot air balloon rides. I mean, this is going to be extraordinary. They're doing the Rustics Preakness, which is a horse race around the property while actually watching the Preakness on TV. And proceeds establish the Officer Joe Burson Scholarship Fund. Get your tickets now at backourblue-in-america2.com. This is the Morning Xtra and Xtra 106.3. When we come back, a Senate candidate has a Marine head of security guard, and he stepped down because he believes that man is too radical. That discussion next.
Xtra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, April 2nd. The Atlanta Braves took the rubber match of their 3-game series with the Athletics yesterday afternoon. 5-1 the final as the team now heads out west. They'll put up a 4-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks beginning tonight. It'll be Ronaldo Lopez on the mound. He'll be opposed by Ryan Nelson. First pitch is set for 9:40. You can hear all the Braves action on our sister station, 680 The Fan, and the Fan app. From the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks keep rolling. The team went on the road last night, blew out the Orlando Magic 130-101. Nickeil Alexander-Walker scored 32. Jalen Johnson, another double-double, grabbing 14 rebounds to go along with scoring 18 points. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they play the Nets in Brooklyn. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Georgia Tech football season tickets are now on sale. Secure your seat in Bobby Dodd Stadium at Hyundai Field to watch head coach Brent Key and the Yellow Jackets take the field in key matchups versus Colorado, Tennessee, and ACC foes. Has a man wide open over the middle, catches the 15, and cruising in for the touchdown. 52 yards, and they made it look easy. Visit RamblinRack.com/tickets to get your tickets today. Sting 'em.
Immaculately designed and manicured backyards can significantly enhance your property's value and visual appeal. And by adding a customized, professionally designed and installed artificial putting green from ATL Turf Co., it'll take your home to the next level. ATL Turf Co.'s custom greens are designed to replicate tournament-level green conditions with realistic ball bounce, roll, and speed, and has a stimp meter of 10 to 12.5. So maybe it's time to consider artificial turf.
Hey, this is John Flading from ATL Turf Co. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's April 2nd, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. It's National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day, a staple of kids at lunch and some adults too, although now outlawed at many schools because of kids with peanut allergies. The leader of the Catholic Church, Pope John Paul II, died on this day in 2005. Elected in 1978, he was the first non-Italian pope since the 16th century. He was also the most traveled pontiff in history, clocking more than 750,000 miles around the globe. Also on this day, in 1917, 2 events at our nation's capital. Jeanette Rankin, the first woman elected to Congress, takes her seat at the U.S. Capitol as a representative for Montana. President Woodrow Wilson goes to Congress asking to send U.S. troops into battle against Germany. And in 1982, Argentina invades the Falkland Islands, a British colony since 1892 that Great Britain took back 2 months later. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. Congress on vacation. A skeleton crew on Capitol Hill as the DHS funding stalemate deepens. House Republicans implored Senate Republicans to pass the bill they approved late last week, funding DHS for 2 months. But the Senate only met for 31 seconds on Monday and never tried to sync up with the House. Democrats dispatched Delaware Democrat Chris Coons to serve as a floor watchdog. He was prepared to object and block anything that Republicans might try to pass with meager attendance. The White House implored lawmakers to cancel their 2-week recess, but bringing lawmakers back to Washington without a solution doesn't fix the problem. Democrats say House Republicans could have ended the shutdown had they approved the Senate's bill with a bipartisan coalition. Washington Democrat Adam Smith said that House Republicans, quote, don't want to pass anything with Democratic votes, which is a weird way to run the government. This likely means the DHS shutdown lingers until Congress meets in the middle of April. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
Start your day with Tug and Los on the Morning Extra.
This is the point by which I will judge all people during this operation from here on out. Are you in favor of making sure that our troops get the job done and come home safely? And that's it. If you are below the line, then I think you're a monster and I know where you are. If you're a Democrat that doesn't agree with the president, doesn't agree with this, but you believe the troops should get this work done and come home safely, we're on the same page. Because I don't care if the act was during the Obama administration, whether it was the faulty Biden administration. If you had troops in harm's way, I wanted them coming home safely.
The Morning Extra, 6 to 10 a.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
9:25 this morning, we have Brad Raffensperger. He is candidate for governor of the state of Georgia. Obviously, you know his background and the phone call, the relationship, the national news that is attached to his name. He will be here to discuss his candidacy. And Los and I look forward to talking with him about many things. But definitely the lead up, why he feels like he's the right guy for the job, and how does he relate to, if he were to win, how does he work with Donald Trump? Can he work with Donald Trump? Those are the some of the angles we'll take when Brad Raffensperger joins us at 9:25. So a little later this morning too, 8:25, more tickets to the Greg Gutfeld show. We're giving those away too. So a bit of a long tease, but some of the other things that are happening. It's just a busy morning. We'll talk about the Trump address to the nation last night. We talked about it a little bit this hour. We'll continue that in the next hour too, Los.
We're making winners out of some people.
That's all we do.
It was a big day yesterday.
That's right, man.
There's a lot of stuff going on.
It was. And with birthright citizenship being talked about at the Supreme Court.
Give you a full breakdown. Top of the hour.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back and talk about something I think it was on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. It may have been Monday, but regardless, it was a Senate candidate out of Michigan, a guy named Abdul El Said, whose planning meeting got leaked. And in that meeting, they said they didn't want to take a position on the Ayatollah's death. This meeting obviously was taking place right as the war in Iran was starting. And the reason he didn't want to take a position is because many of his constituents were sad, and he needed their vote. So his Marine, former head of security, has called it quits, calling him a Islamic radical not fit for office. This dude was getting paid. Like, that's how he made his living. Whatever you do for a living, imagine one morning waking up and going, I can't do this anymore. This is not a way that I feel comfortable in earning a paycheck. I don't think this is good.
You got to feel very dirty about who you're working around. You got to feel very, I want to say constrained, but something about it where you just say, I can't, in good conscience, take a paycheck from somebody who's operating like this.
Good for that Marine, man. I think it's awesome. I think it's great.
Because, right, a job's a job, and it's just supposed to be a job. Man. And leave the politics aside.
Right, and because you're the security guy. You're just making sure the dude doesn't get killed or doesn't get beat up or, whatever. You're just running security. It's what you've been trained to do. And you couldn't even do it. What you said there is true, man. It's the conscience. My conscience won't allow me. This guy is not good for Michigan. This guy is not good for America. This guy is not good for our country, and I can't do this.
It's very principled.
It is, and look, I bet there's things that happen even in our office, and we're in a great spot, man. Dickey Broadcasting has been so good to us. They never come in here and say, here's what you must talk about, or you better not talk about this. Ever. Not one time have anybody even insinuated anything like that. But I'm sure there's something that'll happen around here and be like, I don't think they made the right choice there. That wasn't the right thing to do.
Well, we work with people that have a difference of opinion when it comes to politics. Yeah, and there are people that, whether they're sales-oriented or promotions or programming, and it's fine. You leave it at the door. How much of a frustration point did this particular candidate have to be to a former member of the military to say, I can't leave it at the door?
I don't know if I can work with this guy.
It's too much.
This dude's a radical. Here's the next layer of the problem, though, Los. Like that was a problem for him. He stepped away. Dude, hand salute. I respect that guy a lot. Those Islamists, they're going to embrace this dude anyway. And so will most of the Democrat voters. They got no problem with it. That's the reason the Democrats flooded the country with unvetted illegals to begin with. It's about destroying America. It's as simple as that. Most of Dearborn, Michigan needs to be denaturalized and deported. At this point, most of them.
Well, it's what it is. But it's also a problem for the Democrats, and it's of their own creation. Because now you have to be careful what candidates have said about their support for Israel. You have to be concerned, are they Jewish? You have to be concerned because the possibility of losing an entire state where you have reached critical mass. There have been enough people who have moved into it who are now wielding political power. And so we don't run into this issue. There's not did we select someone who's Jewish? Well, that might be a problem for Texas.
Oh, my.
What if Florida doesn't react correctly? I'm like, no.
We don't have that issue. We don't have
that problem. They've created it based on, and this goes back to the idea of, well, let's just keep bringing in the third world. Well, then the third world starts operating like the third world because they don't, in a lot of cases, want to assimilate.
They don't share American values.
No.
And I love what you said there about we don't have that worry of Josh Shapiro being our candidate or our VP pick because of upsetting some group. Like if you look at conservatives, we're labeled as the left will label us as bigots or hateful or Nazis or whatever it is, which are all absurd. In the conservative movement, doesn't matter your color, doesn't matter your sex, it doesn't matter your sexual orientation. One of the biggest and my favorite members of the cabinet is a gay man. But the thing I like about Scott Messent so much,
he's so good.
He's so freaking good at what he does. And you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't talk about his sexuality every day because who does that?
No, there's not one point where when I was listening to the Supreme Court justices yesterday, as I'm hearing their legal discussion and the questions that they are asking counsel, at no point did I go, it's a good thing Clarence Thomas is black. I'm like, no, it's a good thing he's a traditional constitutionalist.
That's exactly right. He shares our values.
I was like,
he shares my beliefs.
Him and I, if we sat down and had a beer, it would be a pretty interesting conversation. It'd be pretty one way. I'd be listening the whole time.
Of course, because he's freaking genius.
And that's the difference where I'm not having.
You don't have a filter. You got to run things through.
No,
give me the best person.
This is what we've got going on in Michigan. Again, this is a problem for Michigan. This is a problem for the Democrats.
It is.
And the mindset that is so different is that they're so busy checking boxes that we actually had the story, I believe it was from Axios that you had from earlier in the week, of, well, why don't we just make sure that for the next time around, we nominate somebody who comes across as white and religious.
White Christian male specifically.
Yes.
Which flies in the face of everything that they say they believe.
Because what do they not have enough of?
Yeah, those. Or any.
Why don't we try this?
Or any.
Why don't we try and make ourselves look a little more normal?
Yeah.
Because they pushed out not just working class people, not just white working class people, but you've largely mocked those that are guided by faith or that faith is a factor in their life. It is not very often where you will have somebody who's on the Democrat side who is leading a conversation with their faith. It is something that if they do have it, they put it on the back burner because it's not popular to bring up within their circles.
Which is why it's so interesting that Tallarico out in Texas is their guy because what is he? White? Quote unquote Christian.
Testing the waters with that one.
Yeah, exactly. I would question
if he loses, and I expect him to lose pretty handily, they'll put that one right in the back burner.
Yeah,
we tried it. We tried it.
Which I wonder though if that's not why they think they need to do something like that. Maybe they're seeing, at least in some sort of internal polling, I don't know what would cause the Democrats to be like, yeah, that's our guy. But it is interesting that the ascension of him and then the statement from Axios from a Democrat insider.
But again, the creation of your own problem. You can have the best white Christian, black Christian, Asian, Christian. You run them in Michigan.
Yeah.
They're going to go,
losing.
Infidel.
Yeah, that's right.
Christian.
That's right. Kill them now.
You created your own problem there.
Crazy. Isn't that crazy, dude?
You can have the best candidate possible.
They ain't going to hear a word they have to say. It's not even going to matter.
And so, yes, on the front end, is it frustrating when you have somebody that is too fanatical for even a former military member to serve within a security detail?
I'm out.
Yes, on the front end, that is an issue. But it's also a big opportunity because they just keep shooting themselves in the foot with this stuff.
And it's such a great example of the problem that they have. Like, it's really emblematic of the true problems they have underneath the surface. That's just one image that opens up the door to the bigger conversation about the problems.
It's the heart of identity politics.
Yeah, that's it.
That wherever you go and the politics changes, well, it's hard then to sell one person to the entirety of the country because they're going to take issue with them. They're not white enough. They're not black enough. They're not this enough. They're too much of this.
Or maybe just pick the best person.
Why not?
Seems like
weird how meritocracy seems to work out much better in these ways.
That's what the Braves did yesterday. They picked the best people, and they won. Imagine that. When we continue on Extra 106.3, 8 billion people are a plane ride away from U.S. citizenship. Next on the Morning Extra.
Extra 106.3 is focused on the issues that matter most to you. Inflation, housing costs, healthcare, and taxes all shape the political landscape nationally and in Atlanta. And President Trump continues to fight the good fight so you'll have the chance to live the American dream. Proud to be the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Military Matters.
European allies are increasingly refusing to allow the U.S. military to use their bases for the war in the Middle East, complicating logistics for targeting Iran. Spain has banned U.S. warplanes from its airspace, calling the war against Iran illegal. Italy, whose prime minister is an ally of President Trump, has blocked landing rights for U.S. warplanes at a key airbase. UK security officials have asked embedded U.S. representatives to step out of meetings where sensitive intelligence is discussed. Here's the British Prime Minister, Keir Starmer.
I'm going to act in the British national interest in all the decisions that I make. And that's why I've been absolutely clear that this is not our war and we're not going to get dragged into it.
Singling out the UK, President Trump rebuked Britain's Prime Minister and mocked the British Royal Navy, telling the Telegraph newspaper, quote, "You don't even have a navy. You're too old and had aircraft carriers that didn't work." Meanwhile, the Strait of Hormuz remains virtually closed. For Military Matters in Washington, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Democracy 2026.
Traditionally, age translates to experience, but in Washington, age can also be a political liability for parties polling for the attention, support, and money from younger Americans. 85-year-old South Carolina Democratic Congressman James Clyburn announced he's seeking an 18th term in the House. He was first elected to Congress back in 1992, but Clyburn told his supporters age doesn't matter.
What is there unfinished, or what more you need to do? Well, it's in the preamble of our Constitution. We exist in pursuit of a more perfect union.
But Republicans, who also have a large number of older lawmakers within their party, say they want to showcase younger candidates, rolling out a slate of people for what they call the next wave of America First candidates. The idea, flip seats held by Democrats in districts President Trump performed well in. Some House Democrats appear to have gotten the message. Democrats Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, both retiring after this term. Mark Meredith, Fox News.
Stream Clay Travis and Buck Sexton, Glenn Beck, Fox News, and even NASCAR on Sundays. Anywhere on the Extra 106.3 app. Download the app now and get 24/7 access to the live stream, the latest news, and everything you need to know about Atlanta's only conservative talk station. Download the Extra 106.3 app for Apple or Android and check out even more great original content at thepodcastpark.com. The Morning Extra, Glenn Beck, Clay and Buck, and The Kimmer Show on WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. Extra 106.3.
This is a Fox News alert. Iran no longer a threat.
I'm Chris Foster. That's President Trump's message during an address about the military operation in Iran.
They were the bully of the Middle East, but they're the bully no longer.
He says the job's almost done.
We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Fox's Mike Emanuel in Washington.
The president also signaling he could end U.S. military operations without reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
The United States imports almost no oil through the Hormuz Strait and won't be taking any in the future. We don't need it.
The president says Iran wants a ceasefire. A spokesman for Iran's foreign ministry saying, quote, "We will not tolerate this vicious cycle of war, negotiation, ceasefire, and then repeating the same pattern."
European leaders are meeting virtually today about keeping the Strait of Hormuz open to oil shipping traffic. Oil prices are up more than 7% today. The Senate could take up a revived plan as soon as this morning to end the partial government shutdown.
House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune say each chamber will take a two-step approach to end the funding lapse for the Department of Homeland Security. The plan, detailed in a joint statement from the two leaders, would advance most of DHS funding through a spending plan already agreed to in the Senate. Spending for immigration and border enforcement would be handled in a parallel bill using a budget tool to get around Senate filibuster rules. It would not include the reforms to ICE sought by Democrats. Still, success is not guaranteed. Both paths would likely require near unanimous support from Republicans without votes from many Democrats. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Democrats in Congress and state governors are suing to block President Trump's order attempting to limit mail-in voting in the midterm elections. It would create an approved list of absentee voters in each state. And the suit says the order illegally interferes in the state's power to regulate elections. America's listening to Fox News.
For years, I've talked about Relief Factor. You've heard stories about the people who finally found real relief after trying the 3-week quick start. I'm one of those stories. My pain had become so bad that I was starting to believe that my best days were behind me. This was like 10 years ago. Relief was not in the picture until I tried Relief Factor. They are always striving to help people get out and stay out of pain. And remarkably, Relief Factor has made their already trusted formula even better. They've added premium black pepper extract because apparently that helps your body absorb the high-quality key ingredients more efficiently. So in simple terms, it helps your body get even more benefit from what you're already taking. And that matters. If you're going to take something daily, you want your body actually using as much of it as possible. So if you've been listening to me talk about Relief Factor for a while, this is your moment. Or if you're already taking it, you're now going to get the enhanced formula designed to work even smarter. Start with a 3-week quick start. It's $19.95 at ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. How will it feel to be out of pain? ReliefFactor.com.
No traffic, no big deal. It's the Morning Extra on 106.3.
Come on!
On my route,
dude, it is, it's Friday Eve. We hadn't even talked because yesterday was so busy. We didn't even talk about it being Friday Eve in the first hour of the show, but we're correcting that now. It is Friday Eve. Now, this is more of a Sunday, Monday kind of song, if you're asking me, because people are raring to go on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, right? This is more like, oh my, boy, I didn't do myself any favors by acting a fool.
It's a little calm before the storm.
Definitely.
We have another volleyball tournament this weekend, and I'm amongst the older parents.
Yeah.
These are the experienced drinkers. And I've been texting back and forth trying to figure out schedules.
That's right.
They're gonna put a hurting on me this weekend.
Are they asking you, requiring you to bring a handle with you?
Friday and Saturday, it's, hey, which bar are we meeting at? I'm like, okay. And then it's, hey, here's our 2-hour break. Okay, where do y'all want to meet at?
Dude, I found this comedian, and his name is it's not on the tip of my tongue. I'll find it. And it was him talking about travel sports, and it hits it so hard out of the park. It'll be something to make you smile. I'll try to dig it up, see if we can play it a little later in the show. Also later in the show, Brad Raffensperger, Georgia's Secretary of State, who's running for governor, will join us here on the Morning Extra to talk to you about his campaign, why he thinks you should vote for him, and we want to get to the heart of the matter. Is that something that Georgians can do? Is that if it were to happen, could he work with President Donald Trump as the governor of Georgia? What does he feel like the big questions surrounding 2020 are? Because there's plenty of them for people that live in the state of Georgia, including myself. including Los, including you listening right now. So those questions, we'll ask those. And of course, we try to do things the right way around here. It will be a cordial conversation, but I think questions that need to be asked and must be answered. That way you can make a solid decision. Is Brad Raffensperger the guy that you want to vote for over Chris Carr, over Burt Jones, over Rick Jackson even?
I think oftentimes you're asking for information from a candidate, obviously in exchange for a vote. You're putting them through your own test. You're running them through your own filter, things that are important to you, things that are not. Man, that 2020 election still matters.
It does.
A whole lot to people. And
totally
so that's where, if you want my support, you have to explain certain aspects.
Help me understand it.
And I think that makes him very unique amongst so many candidates, no matter who's running all around the country. Raffensperger's in a different sort of place.
Something you said, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before, but that I hadn't pondered really is that he's got probably the most name recognition of any of the candidates running. Even outside of Georgia.
You step outside the state of Georgia and you ask them if you've heard, and you can run through the list of candidates that we have for running for major office. And I'm willing to bet maybe Burt Jones, because he's gotten a Trump endorsement.
Yeah,
but it doesn't have.
Maybe, but not.
It doesn't have the same. This is somebody who's been in the news for a long time.
Well,
and rightfully so. I mean,
6 years.
For the better part of 2 years, everything was about the phone call, which was the one that Raffensperger was on. Which was the basis by which that you had so many within the Biden administration believing, well, we should be able to prosecute Donald Trump based off of a phone call in Georgia. And it was to Brad Raffensperger.
And I want to know what he thinks about that happening and then falling apart.
Yeah.
Like what is his take on the prosecution and then the failures of Vonnie Willis and how that ultimately went nowhere, not just here, but in all the prosecution. I'd really like his opinion on all of it. I think it'll be interesting. So it's going to be a good conversation. It's one that I would encourage you to either set yourself a little alarm, get yourself the app so you can listen to it. Maybe if you can't be here with us at 9:25, it'll be available on the app as soon as the interview is done. Bryce will have that up and loaded to the Xtra 106.3 app. It will be at the podcast park. It'll be extra1063.com. It'll be across the social media platforms. Plenty of ways to consume it. But if you can be here at 9:25, there's nothing like hearing it live as it happens here on Xtra 106.3. Let's get to the first thing to know this morning.
They want you awake, informed, and ready to fight for the facts of the day in the land of the free. Now your sleepyhead nation needs your wake-up call. A mighty dose of reality coming in strong. Soon as the sun cracks the horizon so high, man, we got the story, no time for a lie.
Nobody wants to believe.
Put a boot in your ass, courtesy of the morning.
2 hours worth of listening to the Supreme Court and the discussion over the 14th Amendment. Now, I know you got to be kind of a weird junkie for the law and for the Constitution to have spent that much time with it. Fox News took it live for a majority of the opening arguments and much of the Q&A sessions by which the Supreme Court heard the case. And now I would expect a ruling probably last week in June. That's before they leave for the session. I expect it at that point. Man, Tug, what an interesting and enlightening conversation from how different ends of the political spectrum are in play here. Because for us, we look at it as, what is the 14th Amendment? The 14th Amendment is what legalized, what gave rights as now people in this country for former slaves. I mean, that was the whole reason for it. And the 2 framers that wrote it specifically in further papers pointed out, if you're an ambassador to this country and you have a child here, that child should not be a U.S. citizen.
Dude, and that alone
that was the original intention.
Dude, that's the waving arm saying, here's what we're trying to accomplish with this.
But, and this was the odd part, you had the more liberal side of the court suddenly becoming Constitution absolutionist. It's like, absolute. Here's what it says. This is what it means.
When it's convenient, right?
And that was a very strange thing. So I want to play you, and this is actually cut to. This is from Sam Alito. And Sam Alito, we talk about what makes this country special. And it's that we do not have a rigid form of government. When matters change within the country, we can change accordingly. That's the base of the 14th Amendment, that yes, a country that had cutouts for slavery could eliminate slavery entirely. Okay, like that's what makes our form of government special. It's that when the winds of change occur, we can change with it. This is a longer cut, but I just want you to listen to Sam Alito talking about the 14th Amendment and how when it was put together, when it was written, when it was voted on, when it was instituted, we didn't have the problems of today.
That they had in mind when they adopted the general rule, or do we say they adopted a general rule, they meant for that to apply to later applications that might come up? Justice Scalia had an example that dealt with this situation. He imagined an old theft statute that was enacted well before anybody conceived of a microwave oven, and then afterwards someone is charged with the crime of stealing a microwave oven, and this fellow says, well, I can't be convicted under this because the microwave oven didn't exist at that time. And he dismissed that. There's a general rule there, and you apply it to future applications. And what we're dealing with here is something that was basically unknown at the time when the 14th Amendment was adopted, which is illegal immigration. So how do we deal with that situation when we have a general rule?
Yeah, I strongly agree with the way that you framed it, that there is a general principle, that's a broad principle that's adopted in the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And we submit that our theory of allegiance and domicile-based allegiance is what explains those specific exceptions that everybody was aware of, but it is broad enough to sweep in future situations. And as you pointed out, illegal immigration did not exist then. Now, the problem of temporary visitors did exist. And it's very interesting that as you look at pages 26 and 28 of our brief, commentators going from 1881 until 1922 are uniformly saying the children of temporary visitors are not included. Now, that logic, we say, it naturally extends. It's really an a fortiori case. If you have someone who enters illegally by the 1880s, there are restrictions on immigration. If you've entered illegally, it's kind of, a well-established principle of law going back to the Code of Justinian that says you're not allowed to be there. You don't have the legal capacity to create domicile there.
But I think, General Sauer, that what you just said suggests that you can't be arguing in the way Justice Alito suggests, because most of your brief is not about illegal aliens. Most of your brief is about people who are just temporarily in the country, where there was quite clearly an experience of, an understanding of, that there were going to be temporary inhabitants.
Now, what they're basically pointing out is the administration was pointing out and using, rather than saying illegal immigration, which obviously is a problem that was unforeseen in the 1860s, they talked about the temporary visitor, the person who basically crosses the border, shows up to border security, they're pregnant, they are now then sent over to an American hospital to have that child. As of now, Will Cain had the numbers with Fox News. As of now, temporary visitor births represent 9% of all births in this country. So nearly 1 in 10 births are occurring from somebody who's here to have the child, to then take the child who now has U.S. citizen rights and head back wherever they were going to.
Birth tourism, otherwise.
Birth tourism. And so that was not so much the illegal immigration point. They were talking about the birth tourism industry. And that, according to the framers who originally put together the 14th Amendment, if you were an ambassador and as jurisdiction subject thereof, if you belong to somewhere else, then you're not given legal status within this country. That was the very interesting argument that was going on, where it's clear one side believes that this is absolute. No matter what, kids are here because the more illegals that have kids here, eventually they win. The more illegals that we kick out of here and people that don't have rights, that shouldn't have rights for the fact that they were coming over here just to have a kid, then we win. And
it reminds me a little bit, Los, of a story I saw on CNN yesterday. You may have seen it blown up too. Because this is what it appears to me. Like, people that come here illegally, they're coming here for a reason. They're coming here because they want to be taken care of, essentially. That's what we've learned with the Somali community, with the what was the percentage number of people on welfare up there?
It is now, I believe, 83% of all Somalis that have been here in the last 20 years are still on welfare.
So they've come here illegally. You're taking care of them. I want to tell you about this Guatemalan woman I saw a story about yesterday. She had a CBP-1 appointment. That was the app that Joe Biden launched to come to the United States under duress, looking for asylum. That got canceled when Trump took office. And you know what she said? I'm just going to wait until President Trump goes, and then I'm going to the United States. What does that tell you? That tells you that she has no fear. Isn't that, when Biden allowed all those people in and they used that fake asylum thing, it was to flood the country to eventually make these people voters. And when she has children while here, what are they going to be? Citizens of the country and voters. It's all a scam, and they know it. Just like you were saying, when they look at it, when those liberal justices look at it, they go, we know we need these people here. We have to have their vote. And stories just like that go underreported or at least they get ignored because that woman, that one Guatemalan woman, is such an example of everything that came across that border and why this matters so much. She's just waiting.
Now, you know what's going to happen in terms of Sotomayor and Ketanji Blue Sky Jackson. Like, they're going to go against the administration.
Without a doubt.
And that's assumed.
Yeah, mark those down.
I think the interesting one is Coney Barrett, based on the question she was asking, and to a certain extent, also Justice Kagan. She was actually asking questions where she was trying to drill down, even though she's more on the liberal side. She was asking questions as to the determinant of status, and that also acknowledging we have a problem here that was not intended or expected in the 1860s. That you have people that can get on a flight and can get here and have a kid, and now that kid has all the rights that you and I do as they fly back to wherever they're going to. That is not something that we expected. I mean, think about it. By the time that we created manned flight, 60 years later, we're on the moon. Mm-hmm. Okay? So 40 years before even that was when this was created of, well, I mean, if you're going to trek all the way over here, maybe you can go through the process. Well, no, you don't have to.
No, there was no process.
Hours later, you're here.
That's exactly right. And that came up. John Sawyer said it. 8 billion people are ready and waiting to come to the United States. They're 8. He used the number 8 billion. And I know he knows that not every single person is going to come to the United States, but it is a number that is eye-popping, and it really illustrates what he's trying to prove.
That based on Chinese media reports, there are 500 birth tourism companies in the People's Republic of China whose business is to bring people here to give birth and return to that nation.
Having said all that, you do agree that that has no impact on the legal analysis before us?
I think it's, I'd quote what Justice Scalia said in his Hamdan dissent, where their interpretation has these implications that could not possibly have been approved by the 19th century framers of this amendment. I think that shows that they've made a mess. Their interpretation has made a mess of the provision.
Well, it certainly wasn't a problem in the 19th century.
No, but of course, we're in a new world now, as Justice Alito pointed out, where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
It is, and as Justice Scalia said, I think in the case that Justice Alito was referring to, you've got a constitutional provision that addresses certain evils, and it should be extended to reasonably comparable evils. He said that about statutory interpretation. I think the same principle applies here, and I think we quote that in our brief.
And when he says that, how can that not influence?
Well, and that's the issue. You hear John Roberts say, well, it's the same Constitution. And I get it. He's trying to be the, for lack of a better term, the academic in the room. Like, we're not supposed to be influenced by politics.
But that's not politics. That's reality.
That's reality of the time. That as your world has changed, the miracle of the Constitution is we can change along with it. Now, the Supreme Court very rarely wants to legislate from the bench.
And I understand that. I get that.
I get that too. They're not looking to create new law.
Yep.
But they're having to interpret a law written from the 1860s where the framers, the people that wrote it, the congressman from Michigan and the congressman from Ohio, did not intend for people that had temporary legal status here to then have children that would then be U.S. citizens. And so that was a large amount of the argument, knowing that if you won that particular argument, it's going to take care of illegal immigration and anchor babies to start with. You won't even have to address it. In fact, it wasn't really even part of the discussion yesterday. It was on birth tourism and whether or not you can have permanent legal status within this country when you are not just a legal citizen, but you're just here on a temporary basis. They talked about domicile as far as where do you reside? Where is your home? Where do you have allegiance to? And that's when Ketanji Brown Jackson got into her wallet
conversation in Japan.
Which I know got posted everywhere that if you steal a wallet in Japan, are you not subject to laws in Japan? I was like, that's a weird way to go to cover your butt on what you're trying to say here.
Yeah, she's bass backwards.
Oh, blue sky.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But I, as an American citizen, like my question to the Supreme Court, not that they entertain my questions or would or need to but me as an American citizen, a tax-paying American citizen, born and raised in the United States, if you don't address this, how will it be addressed? Because I want them to know that it matters to me as a citizen. How are you going to address this? How are you going to tell me, and Los, and you listening right now, well, too bad, y'all. I know what you think, and I know what the framers thought, but too bad. You're out of luck.
I think this screams 5-4, one way or another.
Yeah.
And I believe that if it does go against the administration,
I expect the worst, hope for the best, so I expect it will.
But I would imagine that the view of the court, if it does go against the administration, is, well, then create law accordingly. If you don't believe that there should be a birth tourism industry, then write laws, get them through Congress, get them passed accordingly.
Dude, you can't pass the SAVE Act, 80% approval. You can't pass anything.
And that, I think, is going to be the great frustration point. Now, again, it could go 5-4 in the administration's way as well, based on how it was written and based on what the original intent of the 14th Amendment was. It could still go their way.
The justices know that they can't pass anything. And I'm not saying that should...
It's not supposed to be a factor.
I know it's not. But in reality, it is. You can't pretend. Like if you're John Roberts sitting there going, okay, I can't pretend that I know Congress is going to take care of this doing the right thing. I know he's not supposed to entertain it. But that's reality. That's what's going to not happen.
Again, this is still a court that just a decade ago basically rewrote what the intentions were of Obamacare in order to make it legal.
Is that right? So don't tell me.
So don't tell me that you haven't gotten involved before.
Because there's clear evidence that you have. And I'm not even saying it's a good idea. But at the exact same time, we can't pretend like they don't know what's happening. They're there for a reason. They're very dialed in. They're very smart people. Most of them are very smart people.
Listen, steal a wallet in Japan. Oh, man.
So embarrassing.
Oh, man.
That's so embarrassing. If Joe Biden was coherent, he'd be like, oh, damn. He's not, so he probably doesn't
picked from 1.5% of the population in this country, and this is what I got.
When we come back on Extra, a prominent Democrat admits they regret their vote for president. What humility. I was impressed. Next on Extra.
Support the advertisers and partners that share your values. Give our Extra advertisers the first shot to earn your business. They will deliver for you every time and support the Extra community like no one else. Connect with all of our partners online at extra1063.com.
You should never need financing for a simple garage door repair, but it's happening here. Out-of-town companies have invaded Atlanta for a cash grab, charging outrageous prices. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Stay local and stay on budget for every opening of your home. All Four Seasons, trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years, exceptional customer service, and fair, honest pricing. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.
Don't believe this nonsense you see on TV commercials about how uncomfortable a CPAP mask is. Take it from me. You wear one, especially the nasal pillow I use, for one night, and you will fight anybody that tries to take it away from you. But if they do take it away from you, you can get more at cpapsetc.com, cpapsetc.com, with a store in Alpharetta, same-day shipping. To your health, cpapsetc.com.
Time now for the Retire Wise Report. James Parker here with financial advisor Sean Maloney, founder and CEO of Retire Wise. So when we go through days or weeks of volatility in the market, Sean, it's hard to know what to do. What can you tell us?
The biggest thing is don't panic or make immediate decisions with your money. Take those emotional concerns out of the middle of it. Look, markets cycle regularly. Market corrections and bear markets are a normal part of the cycle. They're just part of the plan that are going to be accounted for. If you feel nervous when you read the headlines about big drops in the market, you might not know enough about how your money is positioned. That's why it's important to get the right guidance on a financial plan for your retirement.
Tell us about the offer you have for our listeners.
All right, so now's the time to start, folks. Looking ahead and identifying if you have too much risk in your portfolio. That's the first thing. We have a helpful little resource for our listeners today. We call it the Retire Happy Framework Toolkit. You can get it today by calling or texting WISE to 770-802-2200. My team helped put together this just for you, and it's a complimentary guide. And the center of this is a copy of my latest book, The Priority of Retirement, plus guides on major topics like investments, Social Security, income planning, taxes, and so forth of the key components of retirement. So if you want to get this information in your hands today, call or text WISE to 770-802-2200. That's 770-802-2200.
Take advantage of this offer and get your Retire Happy Framework today. Just text WISE to 770-802-2200. The team at Retire Wise will get you your Retire Happy Framework to you right away. So just call or text WISE to 770-802-2200. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Firm does not provide tax services.
Stovall & Company Wholesale Landscape Supply has been family owned and operated for more than 75 years, and we treat you like family too.
Check us out at StovallInc.com or stop by our new store in Canton, Georgia and see what we have to offer.
At Stovall, we supply all your landscape project needs.
Completely hassle-free, all the way down to the delivery.
Have you been dreaming of an outdoor kitchen, fireplace, or other custom paver project? We partner with Keystone Hardscapes for all your beautiful high-end concrete needs.
We look forward to making your landscape dreams come true. Stovall has it all.
Hey, this is Los with Terry from Alpharetta, who just purchased a new car with the Honest Car Guy, the new, fully transparent, honest way to buy your next vehicle. Terry, tell us about your experience.
I have a son serving in the military. He's active duty with limited time to look for a car. My son was looking for a used Hyundai Veloster, and I had heard about the Honest Car Guy on the radio, decided that might be a route to go, and we made a phone call over the weekend. He screen shared the information with us. We looked over the vehicle, and he took the reins from there, and they were able to walk us through the process of buying the car. We're very clear and transparent, and next thing we knew, we had a car in the driveway.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Thursday, April 2nd, and here are your headlines. Metro Atlanta nonprofit is opening a new headquarters to help people transition out of homelessness, with 160 housing units now available for program graduates. Leaders with Georgia Works say they have already helped more than 1,200 men get jobs and off the street, with rent set well below market rates. Doctors are warning about possible vision risk linked to the popular GLP-1 weight loss drugs, including swelling of optic nerves that can lead to vision loss. Experts recommend getting a comprehensive eye exam before and shortly after starting the medication. And finally, a major literacy bill is now awaiting Governor Brian Kemp's signature, aiming to address low reading rates statewide. The plan would place literacy coaches in schools and come as about 60% of third graders are not reading on grade level. Coming up at 9:25, Brad Raffensperger will be joining Tug and Los on the Morning Extra. Today's weather will be mostly sunny with a high of 85 and a low of 63. With your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Gobert.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 1063. I want to play you a couple pieces of audio here because I feel like there's a theme, and I want to see if you're seeing the same thing that I see. Realizing there are some Democrats that believe or have recognized that the party has left them. I'm going to tie this together, and at the end, we'll discuss it, and you can tell me what you think. We're going to start with Stephen A. Smith, a guy that we talk about on the show relatively often. We don't always agree with him, probably maybe 50% of the time, but have great respect for because he's honest and he's not afraid to say, hey, these guys are screwing it up.
One of the highest paid employees over at ESPN, and now as he's ventured into politics, because he's an opinionated guy, he continues to show up, whether it's Bill Maher or Sage Steele. I mean, that's bouncing around doing one end to the other.
He's doing the circuit.
Doing The View.
Absolutely. He does them all. And I appreciate that about him. I respect him. He was talking, since you brought up Sage Steele, that's who he was talking to when he said what he said. And you and I love Sage Steele. I think you do. I love her.
Sage Steele's pretty.
I think she's amazing.
Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
And she was talking to Stephen A. Smith. And he admitted what most people would never.
And you said that you voted for Kamala Harris.
Yes.
And that you regretted it.
Yeah. I know that Joe Biden should have been stepped away, and it was delayed because these people wanted Kamala to be the candidate, and there was no way in hell it was going to happen unless he left when he left, as opposed to earlier where there could have been a primary. She would have had to compete against people in order to that, right? So I know all of that. But I also believed that she was the kind of person that if the power existed in one house of Congress, if not both, that she was somebody that you could get to acquiesce and work across the aisle in order to get things done. That was my belief. And then when I saw how things were unfolding and how out in the clouds the Democratic Party was even after they lost it, I said, this is no hope. I said, I don't know what the hell I was thinking about believing that y'all would get it, because you still don't get it. You really, really don't. Trump, you bring up the indictments, you bring up his behavior, you bring up all of these different things. And America still said he's more normal than y'all. And you still don't get it. And I thought you'd get it, but you didn't get it. So I lost all faith.
Goodness, dude. What a dressing down of the Democrat Party. And I even wrote it down. He believed all of those things and then watched it unfold and realized none of it was true.
First off, with all respect to Stephen A. Smith, and I've said this before for anyone who's ever listened to this show, when the guy shows up to your studio to use your studios, he's one of the nicest, best gentlemen. Not everybody is cool.
He's like that, yeah.
He is extremely nice to everyone, from whoever's running technical operations to anyone in the building. I wanted to point that out because now this is the little bit of derogatory part. I think that at times Stephen A. Smith is doing politics for dummies. Like, let me go lowest common denominator, simplest way to understand it. And that's fine, because that does bring a sports-oriented audience to have a deeper understanding. What he is missing is a revisionist history. Kamala Harris wasn't picked by anybody other than Joe Biden because they knew she would lose. All right? The Biden family picked Kamala Harris. They made it a point when they went away, disappeared off for the weekend, and then decided to, okay, we're not going to move forward. This is after the debate that was so monumentally bad. They're the ones that within that letter, Kamala's the person. Pick Kamala. She's going to be the one.
Knowing she was going to blow out.
And that shot the wheels off everything the Democrats wanted to do. So to say, well, then they picked her. No. As a final FU, the Biden family's the one who set them up for this failure.
Do you think Stephen A. knows that? Or do you think he believes that?
I think if somebody tells him.
Yeah, right.
He knows
maybe
it now.
Yeah, maybe. I just, maybe he does. I don't know what he believes or what he thinks. But to say I regret voting for Kamala Harris, that's a pretty big punch to the gut for the Democrats.
Well, you would have to have bought into the cult of personality. I'm trying to remember what it wasn't. Time magazine. Somebody had the article. Maybe it was Newsweek about how we've been searching, and all along she was right under our nose.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
But she was always bad.
Yeah,
she was bad from the minute she first tried to run.
Absolutely, never got 1%. Never made it out of Iowa.
All she has ever done is ascend in politics on her back. On the backs of other people. On the shoulders of other people is what I meant. I didn't mean the other thing. She's been on the shoulders of other people, and that has ascended her through politics. When she has
I'm not sure that example is any better.
When she has to run her own campaign, when it came to a national campaign, it didn't work out well. You gave that woman $2 billion, and this is what she delivered for you. The issue that Stephen A. Smith refuses to talk about, at least as of now, and the Democrats refuse to talk about, is that you have not had an actual primary since 2008.
Yeah. They don't believe in democracy. They believe in kings, strangely enough.
And that was when Hillary was going to be the next in line. As it turns out, everyone went, I like Barack Obama better because Hillary's not likable either.
That's right.
Well, you still have not had a primary since 2008, and you continue to tell people about no kings or why do we keep getting these weird candidates? Stop picking them on your own.
Yeah, let the people choose. Let your party choose.
But then it always goes back to the same thing. Bernie Sanders is winning, and they're like, we got to get rid of Bernie. We can't win with Bernie.
Then I want to play you Rahm Emanuel. He is Democrat through and through, right? Obama, before that, Clinton.
He's an architect within the organization.
Architect's a great word. Listen to what he says about the Democrat Party and the left.
We lost the plot. We as Democrats nationally, from Latinx to defunding the police to police organizations are all racist to bringing a set of cultural wars to our schools. We are on the losing side of those cultural wars. Full stop. You are worried about bathroom access and locker room access. Why don't you focus on classroom excellence? You have 50% of our kids not reading at grade level.
Well, they can just say we can do both.
You've proven you can't because you've permitted a 30-year low in reading and math scores, and nobody seems to be calling the whistle on this. We lost the plot.
Why?
Because the party got unanchored. Every one of our most successful electoral presidents anchored themselves in what I call middle-class values and values that are universal, at least in this country, ascribed to. We went from acceptance to advocacy. Big difference. And I'll just take one on that I shouldn't. So here goes. I remember fighting for Title IX. The reason we are champions in women's sports in the Olympics and soccer, hockey, etc. is Title IX. Why would you undercut the premise of Title IX with the ability of trans men playing in women's sports?
No lies detected in what Rahm Emanuel has said. And that's why I when I looked at this, I just feel like at least him, maybe not Stephen A., maybe he's playing the game. Rahm Emanuel realizes a whole lot of the things that we've said on this show a million times. He realizes there is not a home for him in this Democrat Party.
A lot of this is about access. The Republican Party was founded on slavery would go away. It was an abolitionist party that you would have access for all people to the American dream and the American experience. What I think the Democrats did as we move forward through time, they would find certain aspects of society where they realized there was a lack of access. How do we engage in access? And I think you can sell. There's a reason why 51% of the people in this country are women, if not more, because access for women to, for instance, sports. Man, that'll get a lot of dads out there to go like, hell yeah, I'm all on board with that. That should be the same.
Yeah.
When you lose the plot is when you start talking about men,
which is what he brought
who
up,
think that they're women, how they should have access to this.
Dude, that was so damning to the Democrat Party. What he said, the architect of all of the things that they say they want and believe in.
You lose the plot. That's what he's pointing out, that you went so far outside of just the typical access of let's provide access to elements of American society. That is something that regular, everyday people can get behind. When you start talking that Clarence now wants to go by Claire and he's got a donger, but he wants to have access to your restrooms, I don't think so.
Pardon me, ma'am. I'm going to have to go sit down to pee. You know what I mean?
I need to go to the bathroom I identify with. No, you need to go to the bathroom of your sex.
No, you need to go get mental health.
And think about it. How far you've moved from, hey, my daughter wants to play soccer, and now you've moved to Clarence who wants to be Claire.
And beat every woman on the field handily because of biology.
Emmanuel is not wrong about this.
It's so damning.
And he's another one of those people that's pointing it out, Tug, like that not one thing he said would come across as extremist.
Dude, everything he said sounded like the Republican Party. It sounds like everything that we talk about all the time. That's why I think, and if I'm wrong about Stephen A., so be it. I don't think I'm wrong about Rahm Emanuel. He is realizing and recognizing there is not a place for that way of thinking in this current party. And I don't think they're going back.
It's a core level of thinking. This is what happens in an American society. We talk about this on a regular basis, that when you have a successful society and there's plenty of money and there's plenty of things going on, plenty of, then at times we lose track of the ball.
Yeah,
and we get caught up in weird stuff.
Yeah,
when things are harder economically, when let's say we're a country in recession,
starts becoming very clear.
Or we had crazy levels of inflation that we dealt with in 2021, 2022. Man, that movement fell apart because people didn't have time for your BS. You're busy talking about bathrooms and women in sports, and I'm busy going, why do my eggs cost so much? Well, Rahm Emanuel's trying to get back to that way of thinking that served the Democrat Party for years. How is this now ostracized?
Yeah, losing the plot, to use his word. They're not going back, Rahm. And I think
they don't want to.
They don't want to, and they're not going to. And I think you realize it and recognize it. Can you imagine the defection if Rahm Emanuel just said, I think I'm an independent? I'm not saying to say he's a Republican. I don't think he would ever do that.
No way. He is tried and true Illinois politics.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But everything that his party now believes, he does not. And he made it clear. He made it evident.
It is. What did the Raging Cajun say when he went to go to Kamala Harris's headquarters? Why is this so female and why is this so gay? And then he had to apologize to them over that. Because he's like, you don't win in an era where you have to have men. They are running men off.
And y'all have none.
In fact, the men that vote Democrat, like part of me is like, listen, it's a bygone era. All right, like if you don't have
Rahm's recognizing it.
Yes, you got to have the man bun and all the whole look and everything else.
And he don't. He's just a dude.
No, he's just like, hey.
I don't agree with him. I'm probably half the time. Although, if the things he laid out, I agree with all of them. So I don't know, man. He's a guy's guy. There's something brewing there, dude. There's something going on in his head. Now, whether he tries to save the Democrat Party, maybe that's his mission, pointing out all the flaws, so somebody will have to address them. Maybe that's his plan. Maybe that's the tact he's taking. Or maybe he's realizing he don't got a home anymore. When we continue, as we told you last week about the DHS funding bill, it was announced yesterday. We were ahead of it again. We'll talk about it next on Xtra 106.3.
Xtra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, April 2nd. The Atlanta Braves took the rubber match of their 3-game series with the Athletics yesterday afternoon. 5-1 the final as the team now heads out west. They'll put up a 4-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks beginning tonight. It'll be Ronaldo Lopez on the mound. He'll be opposed by Ryan Nelson. First pitch is set for 9:40. You can hear all the Braves action on our sister station, 680 The Fan and the Fan app. From the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks keep rolling. The team went on the road last night, blew out the Orlando Magic 130-101. Nickeil Alexander-Walker scored 32. Jalen Johnson, another double-double, grabbing 14 rebounds to go along with scoring 18 points. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they play the Nets in Brooklyn. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
For a lot of drivers, the question isn't, should I buy a Toyota? It's, where should I buy it? Because the dealership matters long after the paperwork is signed. My good friends at Marietta Toyota, well, they've built their reputation the right way. Trust, consistency, and of course, most importantly, taking care of the neighbors and customers for over 50 years, proudly serving the Marietta area since 1975. You get real selection, straightforward answers, and a team that respects your time. Here's the difference most dealerships don't include. Every new Toyota comes with our nationwide lifetime powertrain warranty. That's valid for unlimited time and unlimited mileage for as long as you own your Toyota. That's long-term confidence backed by Toyota quality and supported by a full team here after the sale with service and genuine Toyota parts on Cobb Parkway South.
It's time for you to visit Marietta Toyota on Cop Parkway South, about 3 miles north of Truist Park. Marietta Toyota. We've been here, and we'll be here for you.
Nationwide lifetime powertrain warranty included with every new Toyota purchase. See dealer for coverage details, exclusions, and requirements.
I'm Patrick Brown, former Army Ranger in the United States Army. Like many service members, I had to make difficult choices when leaving the military, and the most challenging thing was finding purpose in a new phase of life. Housing, employment, education, way too many decisions and no idea where to start. That was until I met the Warrior Alliance. They made it simple. They listened and quickly connected me to the services I needed. And like a trusted friend, they even followed up to make sure I was squared away. Change a veteran's life today by donating at thewarrioralliance.org, helping warriors navigate to success after service.
A golf instructor who knows technique can improve an aspiring pro's swing. But one who really cares can help transform a career.
There he is, your new champion.
When you team up with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Hey, this is Matt from East Cobb. We basically bought our house from our in-laws. It was my wife's childhood home. One of the issues that we've had when we first moved in was our dog in our backyard. It was extremely shaded, could never grow grass back there. We resodded it twice. So ATL Turf Co. did an amazing job with our backyard transformation. They basically created a miniature golf hole. We have a miniature fairway. We also have a miniature little putting green. Consists of about 4 holes, total about 40 yards, so you can definitely work on your short game and your putting. After that transformation that ATL Turf Co. did for us, my father-in-law came and saw his house the way it looked after the fact of we had a putting green and a miniature golf course. Sure enough, he did the same thing with ATL Turf Co. He has a beautiful backyard, wonderful stonework, drainage, and a beautiful practice area for chipping and putting. Check him out online at atlturfco.com.
Pay to play, sweetheart deals, government land grabs, and a rigged gambling law. Corrupt career politician Burt Jones made a fortune in public office. But it gets worse. Now Jones is in the tank for illegal Chinese vapes. They're poisonous, they're addicting our kids, and President Trump issued a national order to ban them. But just like a career politician, Burt Jones ignored Trump's order and blocked legislation to stop the sale of illegal Chinese vape pens in Georgia. That's right, Jones ignored Trump and blocked the legislation to ban them right here in Georgia. Why? Because the Jones family is making big bucks selling the same deadly addictive Chinese vapes Trump banned in their gas stations. Corrupt career politician Burt Jones. He sold out Georgia for Chinese vapes.
Paid for by Jackson for Governor, Inc.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by.
Well, I appreciate you guys. I love what you do. I love your show. Love your listeners. And just remember, one team, one fight. This nation actually is special for a reason. If we lose it, there's no more hope in the world. I truly believe that.
The Morning Extra, 6 to 10 a.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. All of the candidates are lining up at the door to talk to you because they need your vote to get through the primary, then to get through the general. This is so important. It's an important time of year running up to the midterms. This morning at 9:25, Brad Raffensperger will be the next person to come on to the Morning Extra to talk to you about why he thinks you should vote for him. What will he do for Georgia as governor? Will he make decisions different than Brian Kemp? Will they be along the same lines as Brian Kemp? Will the relationship with Donald Trump be affected? Is there something that you can do to better that relationship? Do you plan to do anything to better that relationship? What are the things that you plan to do as governor of Georgia if you were to get through the primary? So coming here to talk to you about those very things. And I think it'll be a spirited conversation, a spirited discussion. With a good outcome. I think you'll get answers. I think he's going to be prepared to answer the questions that you have. And I appreciate everybody that's reached out to Los and myself and Bryce with suggestions and things that you would like to hear. You're always welcome to do that. 404-741-1230 at Extra 1063 across the social media platforms. You can find Los at Front Office Los and me at Tug Cowart. We're easy to locate if you're looking for us. So, Los, I feel like we may have been ahead of the game on this one again, and it's the DHS funding bill, the one that was, I guess, formally announced yesterday. We got on that last week.
Yeah, last Friday when everything went down and the Senate passed that thing at 3 o'clock in the morning and then got out of town, and the initial rancor was, well, look what they did. And the Democrats then turned into, yeah, we defunded ICE.
Yeah, we did.
Well, no, you didn't. And as we explained, we said, these other programs are funded through 2029. This is what they did. This is what, and I said, what'll happen, we'll know when it gets over to the House. Then we're going to see how all of this is going to play out. And what is the update? As of now, the House is going to vote on that bill. It's going to pass. That's what's going to happen. What they're going to do is send an additional bill back over to the Senate because it's strictly a spending issue and use budget reconciliation.
That's right. So 51 votes, not 60.
Which means everything's going to get done that they intended to get done. Now, does it work in a way that the Democrats get to claim their victory and Thune gets to have, ice the clock to make sure the Save America Act doesn't have to get to the floor? Does it work for the establishment? Yeah, it does. Does the critical elements of DHS all get funded as well? Yeah, does.
You'll see everybody taking victory laps.
And so, yes, it's frustrating because you're not getting everything you want. You're getting about 70% of what you want. We still want that vote on the Save America Act.
Yeah.
But basically, politics played us in the way that politics does.
They ain't ever going to do that. They ain't ever going to let Save America Act. You mark our words, because Los and I both feel this way. That thing is so dead in the water. It ain't going anywhere.
They'll never let it get to the floor.
Never, ever in a million years let that happen. Even though it's bipartisan and supported at incredible levels, which is why I brought up that when we were talking about the Birthright Citizenship Act, or Birthright Citizenship that was discussed at the Supreme Court, because there's not, if they can't pass the Save America Act, they definitely can't pass a constitutional amendment to make birthright citizenship, to correct that problem, to correct the fault there. And that's the thing that irritates me to death about what's happening at SCOTUS, because they know that too. There's zero chance of that happening. And then back over to this, there's zero chance of the Save America Act passing. And it's so disappointing. It should frustrate you to no end, and you should be royally pissed about it.
Now, let me tell you how this is going to play out. Write this down, mark it in your brain. What will happen? The Senate's going to come back into session, and they're going to talk about using reconciliation to get a vote on the Save America Act. What they'll do is they'll tuck it in to another bill. And the problem that will happen, as they should, the parliamentarian will remove it. And the Senate, especially the Senate establishment Republicans, will be able to say, look, we tried to get it in. It's the parliamentarian who got rid of it. They're the ones that we tried. We were looking to do it. That's the way it will play out. In the same way we told you last week, hey, here's what's being funded. This is what you got. Everyone who's screaming about the sky is falling, it's not happening. We laid it out there for you, and now we've been proven correct 5-6 days later. So that is what's coming, is they're going to make sure that the Save America Act gets a little bit of life, but that the parliamentarian will be able to be the one to get rid of it.
Not going to happen. So, as we've suggested, if you're royally pissed, you should be, because they can't do. They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat.
And they'll be able to say, both ends of the government will be able to say, well, look, we got this thing done. Look, DHS is now funded. Oh, they used budget reconciliation. ICE now has their money for additional more. Look, everyone's got their money.
Everybody wins.
But they will quietly go, that Save America Act, it could really cost us a lot of power. We're making sure that thing never gets to the floor.
How do we squash that like a bug?
How do we squash that like a bug? It's going to take more. And this is what I believe is why Donald Trump got up in front of the country to speak to the country last night. Not just the message that he wanted to have to Europe, but when he started talking about winding things down, and it's probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks before operations in the area are done. I think he wants that Senate back into session, and he wants to put pressure on them. But it's very hard to create the pressure you need to create on the Senate if you're also having to get nuclear weapons out of the hands of the Iranians.
There's a lot going on.
It's like one at a time.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny because it's the same thing with Cuba, right? He even said,
we'll get around to you.
We're getting to Cuba, and it's probably the same thing there. I just, as a voter, and this should go for Republicans and Democrats, they should be so frustrated knowing that when good legislation is available and the establishment decides, nope, it's not good for us. I know it's good for America, but it's not good for us. We're not going to have any of this. Vote every one of their asses out. Every one of them.
It's the same concept of whenever you hear people bandy about and say, what about term limits? These people will never vote themselves out of being kings and queens.
That's right.
If there's such a thing as like, no kings.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, go look at the seniority.
Dude.
All right, when somebody's been in the Senate for 40 years, that person views themselves as a king. And to the point where they look at a president as temporary. Like, what? That's what he wants? I've been in the Senate 40 years. I don't worry about that. I'll be here till I'm dead.
Dude, there was and I can't find, I bookmarked it somewhere on Twitter, and it made the comparison of how long Chairman Mao was in office compared to some American politicians. How long, like, Stalin was in office compared to American politicians. You know, like, as far as years length. I mean, I'll find it, but it'll make you roll your eyes in the back of your head of how many people that are dictators that were in office less time than people in the American political system. It's unreal. It really is. Morning Extra, Extra 106.3, 925. Brad Raffensperger joins the Morning Extra. Next, Trump's address. What you should have taken away from last night.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Here's the scenario. Impossibly fat woman shoplifts from Walmart. They catch her. She tries to escape. They put her on the ground. She starts screaming, "Walmart is racist! Walmart is racist!" Yep. She's black. In Florida, a local politician objecting strongly to a proclamation honoring Charlie Kirk. Why? Because he's a liar and a racist. Yep, the politician is black. Now, I'm really close to not giving a damn, but it is very, very tiring to hear people screaming racism all the time. So I went to AI. I asked AI, what's the difference between prejudice, bigotry, and racism? I wanted to see if my past comments on this issue were close to valid. Well, yes, they were. Here are some definitions. Prejudice first. Very simple. Prejudice is prejudging somebody, coming up with an opinion about somebody before you even know them. It might be unfair, often is, but it's something that can be corrected. Then we get to bigotry. A bigot isn't just wrong in their prejudgments of somebody else, but it's an opinion that they're not going to abandon. They're going to stick with it. Evidence doesn't matter. Exceptions don't matter. They hate that person, and that's the way it's going to stay. And then we come to racism. Racism is the belief that some people are inherently and genetically inferior to others. It gets narrowed down to this. Prejudice is a thought. Bigotry is a refusal to rethink. Racism isn't a thought, it's a belief. A belief in inherited genetic inferiority of one race compared to another. My friends, we cannot solve our problems with race until we properly identify them. Here's a start. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Tug and Los start your day the right way on the Morning Extra.
I have an uncle who's a plumber, and, it's a small business. He never got rich, but he did good work. He worked his fingers to the bone, and people like Jimmy Kimmel have no use for my uncle, the plumber. He has no use for my parents who worked in the carpet mills in Dalton, Georgia, because he's better than them. He looks down his nose at them. They're uneducated, and they are, but they're more wise than Jimmy Kimmel will ever be in a day in his damn life. He provides nothing, and the left loves him. They elevate him like he's some sort of hero, and he's not.
The Morning Extra, 6 to 10 a.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
This is a Fox News alert. President Trump says it'll be over soon in Iran. I'm Chris Foster. The president delivers his first address to the nation about the military operation now in its 34th day.
President Trump said because of American and Israeli military power, Iran's navy is gone, and airstrikes have been annihilating their defense industrial base. But the president told the nation Wednesday night the job isn't quite complete. So for now, the offensive will continue.
We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks. We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
The president said talks toward a ceasefire or even an end to the war continue. But Iran has disputed those discussions have come as far as the president has said. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
And news that attacks will intensify and Iran's continued closure of the Strait of Hormuz to oil shipping traffic have oil prices up nearly 9% today. Members of Congress are scheduled to be out of town for another week and a half, but there is an agreement among Republican leaders on a plan to end the Homeland Security shutdown. Fox's Bill Malugin at the Capitol.
House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader John Thune are now on the same page, announcing a Trump-approved plan to pass a bill that would fund all of DHS except ICE and CBP. It's similar to the bill the Senate passed with Democratic support at 2 a.m. last Friday. Hours later, Speaker Johnson trashed that Senate bill. But now, with President Trump's approval, Thune and Johnson say that Senate-passed bill is the path forward, and Democrats are claiming victory. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer writing on X, quote, House Republicans caved.
Astronauts on the Artemis 2 mission in between naps are getting the capsule ready for the engine firing that'll send them out of Earth's orbit on their trip to the moon, trip around the moon. They're about 43,500 miles above Earth now, flying more than 2,000 miles an hour. America's listening to Fox News.
For years, I've talked about Relief Factor. You've heard stories about the people who finally found real relief after trying the 3-week quick start. I'm one of those stories. My pain had become so bad that I was starting to believe that my best days were behind me. This is like 10 years ago. Relief was not in the picture until I tried Relief Factor. They are always striving to help people get out and stay out of pain. And remarkably, Relief Factor has made their already trusted formula even better. They've added premium black pepper extract because apparently that helps your body absorb the high-quality key ingredients more efficiently. So in simple terms, it helps your body get even more benefit from what you're already taking. And that matters. If you're going to take something daily, you want your body actually using as much of it as possible. So if you've been listening to me talk about Relief Factor for a while, this is your moment. Or if you're already taking it, you're now going to get the enhanced formula designed to work even smarter. Start with a 3-week quick start. It's $19.95 at ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. How will it feel to be out of pain? ReliefFactor.com.
Finally, there is conservative talk in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, so there is. And it is Extra 106.3, Tug and Los until 10. Here on the Morning Extra, halfway through the show. And are grateful that you're here. Rocking out some Luke Combs with us. Let's go. Oh, he's so good. 9:25, Brad Raffensperger, Georgia's Secretary of State and current gubernatorial candidate for the office of governor of the state of Georgia, will join us 9:25. Mark it down. Make a note. Keep it close to you, or just get the Extra 106.3 app. I think there's even like something where you can set an alarm on the app. It's so fancy.
There'll be a notification that goes out.
Yeah, well, then you get a notification that'll remind you. So there's all kinds of ways to remember. But if for some reason you're walking into the office, maybe the kids overslept and you're dropping them off at school late and you just cannot be with us, it will be available. on the Extra 106.3 app. Right after the interview concludes, and the discussion concludes, it'll be available on YouTube, social media. It'll be everywhere. So I think there's probably a lot of people listening today that are new to the show. And if that's the case, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I hope you're happy with what you've heard so far.
So far.
We're only halfway there.
If Tug and I have not delivered, give us 2 more hours.
That's right. And if we've not by then, let's try again tomorrow.
Then we'll give you the next one free.
That's right. So,
Friday will be free if we do not deliver in these final 2 hours. If we haven't already, which I think we've done a pretty.
Just go back to yesterday's 9 o'clock hour.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, when we talk about Blazers and Broncos. Yeah, boy, that was a grand slam for sure. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Now, I told you what's happening at 9:25, 8:25, so about 20 minutes from right now. Got a pair of tickets to give away to see Greg Gutfeld. He's doing the Gutfeld Live 2026 tour. You can listen all this week, and we'll give away tickets to that. And Tom Siliu is a comedian that's on his show all the time, and we got a meet and greet with him. So one lucky winner, like a grand prize winner, if you will, will be able to meet Tom. You can get tickets right now, Ticketmaster.com, GasSouthDistrict.com. Seems like Ticketmaster.com, but easy to remember. But that's the way you can buy them if you want to. But we've got tickets all the way into next week for the Greg Gutfeld tour. Gonna be fun, man. Gutfeld's a funny guy. He's a super guy. Trying to line up some time with Greg to come on the show. Hopefully he will be able to make time for us before he gets into town on April the 11th here on the Morning Extra.
It's a comedy show.
Yeah. That's what
with some politics.
Yeah, that's right. Which is what late night used to be anyway.
That's right. It'll be fun.
Yeah. He's a funny guy. I love how spirited he is. I don't usually get to see his show because it's on later than I'm up. And but I do see him occasionally on the 5, and there, people will share clips of his show on social media. So everybody knows Gutfeld. Everybody knows where he's coming from, and most people genuinely like him. I think he's fun. He's funny, and he does everything the right way, if you ask me. 8 o'clock hours brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert. 770-GET-HEAT. CentralHeat.com is their website. Let's get to the first thing to know this morning.
Way out west.
Where?
There's a show.
Which one?
The Morning Xtra.
Oh.
The Morning Xtra.
Who day?
Tug Los. Deep in the story. Breaking news. News that's bold.
Man, I was impressed with how quickly Donald Trump got in and out of his address to the nation. It was at 9 o'clock, and he was done before 9:30, man. I think that thing was like 15 or 20 minutes long.
Surprising.
He normally is running late, and he was, I think, tiniest bit late there last night, but normally he keeps you waiting for a little bit if you're waiting for an address. He didn't make you wait too long last night, and then was, like I said, done in and out, which is unusual for him. He likes to talk, and I appreciated it. I was glad, man, because it's late in the evening, and we're kind of winding down. I think most people were kind of winding down, and
I was.
The way we get up really super early in the morning, it was. Man, that was the best speech that I could have got. It wouldn't have mattered what he said. As long as he keeps it to 15 minutes, man, I'm in.
Well, I think it was important. We talked about the overall tenor of it, which was this is winding down in Iran. This is not going to be a forever war. This is not going to be an occupational force. And really calling out those in Europe. Hey, if you have your own interest with the Strait, well, you need to handle that. We're handling the heavy lifting. We are taking part as far as what needed to be done for the region. And now it's winding down. And to think about what you then had that came out of Iran from whoever their leadership group is at this point, of them trying to appeal to the U.S. media our libertarians and our liberals and basically saying, hey, we've never been a violent country.
No, right.
We've never been forward thinking in terms of trying. We're just Little Red Riding Hood over here. Okay.
Yeah, 47 years of evidence to the contrary.
Right. And so I thought it was important for Donald Trump to make it clean, concise, and quick to let the American people know, here's what the plan is, here's how things are going to go. And as he said, we're looking to wind this thing down over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
We all agreed boots on the ground wasn't an option. I think the Pentagon had presented that plan. I mean, you have to present every plan, right? For every potential scenario, possible scenario. You had the buildups. You wondered if they wouldn't try to take Cargill and to cripple the Iranian economy. They decided we're not going to do that. We've not bombed any of the desalination plants. We've not bombed the power grid. We've not done any of those things. And the Straits of Hormuz came up, and Donald Trump made it clear. And I love this because I'd said this, since the beginning of this, like 34 days ago. We're not nation builders. We're not there for that. Let's do the things we want to do. Let's accomplish the goals that we've set out. Make sure they don't have a nuclear program. I think that's pretty much a done deal. Their Navy is sitting at the bottom of the ocean. Their Air Force is non-existent. Their air defense done for. The amount of launches that they had in the last few weeks have been minimal. Most intel analysts and experts say that they've been degraded. They think they have left over altogether between 300 and 900 missiles completely from what they were. And they were firing at the beginning of this 300 at a time. We're down to what, like 8 or 9, 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, 11 is a big time.
Okay.
When they get to double digits in a day, that's a large number for them.
We've been hitting the drone factories where they build their drones. We've been hitting the missile factories where they build the missiles. We hit the depots where the fuel is that would power those missiles if they wanted to launch them. All of that has been destroyed. What does that leave? That leaves the Straits of Hormuz. And I love the fact that Donald Trump said, hey, man, if you want it, if you want to take care of it, go right ahead. We don't rely on it. We've done the heavy lifting for you, NATO. We've done the heavy lifting for you, Gulf nations. If y'all are concerned about it, then you go protect it. And he called out, and I think this was smart what Los did and surmised from this. More than anybody else, he was calling out NATO in this cut. Listen. Trup 1.
On the Morning Extra.
So to those countries that can't get fuel, many of which refuse to get involved in the decapitation of Iran, we had to do it ourselves. I have a suggestion. Number one, buy oil from the United States of America. We have plenty. We have so much. And number two, build up some delayed courage. Should have done it before. Should have done it with us, as we asked. Go to the Strait and just take it. Protect it. Use it for yourselves. Iran has been essentially decimated. The hard part is done, so it should be easy.
It should be easy. It is yours. It is there for the taking. He did say that this will be, like we told you yesterday, there will probably be 2 or 3 more weeks of this winding down. And we have done everything to put you in a position to succeed here. So your trade route, your trade partners aren't damaged. It doesn't damage you. We've set you in a position. We put you in a position to be successful here. But we've done all that we're ready to do. And I love that. I've said from the get-go, and Los, we've discussed it, the fact that we're not trying to win hearts and minds, we're not trying to nation build, y'all handle that. That's your neighborhood. That's your backyard.
Let's look at it from the perspective of the administration in Europe. So I think this is very enlightening how this is going. Once this campaign started with Israel and the United States, Europe largely said, well, we're not taking part in any of this. We're not going to help you.
You can't even use the bases that we have jointly.
We will not aid you in any of these actions. It's like, okay, that's fine. Predictably, when Iran started to looking to close the strait, well, that's only affecting Europe. It doesn't affect us. I think it's, as we've gone through the numbers, it's 1.5 to 2% of the oil that we get comes from there, which we can easily replace. It's not a concern for us. So it's largely only hurting Europe. Well, that is the point where you're looking over at Europe and going, oh, you didn't want to help out at all, huh?
Where you been, boys?
Well, why don't y'all go take care of that?
Oh.
Because it's not touching us. Doesn't bother us one bit. Where are y'all stepping up?
Dude,
Let's go, Pierre.
And this is, yeah, absolutely. Let's go, France. Let's go, Great Britain, the great ally of the United States.
We could take care of it.
Absolutely.
But we're not doing it.
No need.
Intentionally.
Because we don't want boots on the ground. And Donald Trump said we wouldn't have boots on the ground, and that's what he has delivered. He's decimated them. He's set back their nuclear program decades, as well as their traditional military, decades. What are y'all going to do? And it came to me yesterday, Los. It hadn't come to me for a while. I've been preaching get us out of NATO for as long as this show has existed. And now you're starting to see Marco Rubio say those things, Pete Hegseth say those things, Donald Trump alluded to those things. What exactly do we get out of this by being partners with NATO? Besides the fact that they're weak, besides the fact that their militaries are underfunded and undermanned and have been for decades because, they're like, the Americans will take care of it. They'll do it. It came to me, Los, what the problem was. On top of that, on top of their issues there militarily, if they were to involve themselves in this war against Iran, their countries all throughout Europe, which have been inundated with Muslims from North Africa and the Middle East, you think they have problems now with the things that are going on, those Pakistani rape gangs and all? You think they have a problem now? Wait till they attack another Muslim nation. Those people would absolutely turn Europe upside down. It didn't come to me until yesterday. And I was like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, because Article 5 is pretty clear. If you hit one of us, you've hit all of us. And that was always the concern that the Russians had with whether or not Ukraine would ever become having any sort of membership within NATO. Well, I mean, you could launch a huge war in Europe. Well, we know the Iranians, when it comes to their missiles, their missile systems, as of now, can reach Europe. Can't reach us, at least as of now. Can reach every city in Europe. So we have preemptively taken this action that only protects you all, the Europeans. It's like, where's your support? And yet, because of the politics in those countries, they have to worry about what if our new arrivals, our new friends, all of our new Muslim friends,
the newcomers,
what if we get them all upset when we start attacking a Middle Eastern country?
I saw this article in Politico, and I want to read it to you because it's so good. And it goes right along with what we've been saying here and what you're hearing out of the administration regarding NATO. And this is from Politico. I want to emphasize, this is from Politico. This is not from Fox News. This is not from Breitbart, not a conservative source. Politico. It's like these MFers always talk about Article 5, Article 5, Article 5. Said a person close to the White House who was granted anonymity to share an unvarnished view of the president's thinking, referring to the alliance principle that attack on one is an attack on all. Okay, well, Iran has been blowing up our soldiers and ripping off our wings for, half a century. And finally, we responded. Now, they're going after our major non-NATO allies and the United States. And you guys are not only saying you're not going to help, but you're closing airspace to us? That's what you're going to do? You're choosing to be an adversary. That's the way an adversary would act to our use of airspace over the countries that we need to access to better implement and execute this war. That's why you're seeing people talk about NATO as if it could go away. And the president can't do that unilaterally. I understand that. I know people are going to bring that up. But where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm telling you, there is nothing that NATO offers us.
Europe feels so burned with what we did to them with Greenland and how we've told them about as far as the funding of their own defense, what it's going to cost. I mean, this goes back to 2016 when Donald Trump basically sat and told all the European leadership, there's no more free rides anymore, baby.
Those days are over.
And they were incredibly upset because what has happened, they've largely been able to fund their domestic programs, their cradle-to-grave services on our backs. We're the ones that are providing their defense. Well, they don't have to worry about defense. We got the Americans. We can spend on all sorts of other things we want to spend on. Donald Trump is basically making it very clear to them. If we're going to take care of you, we're going to need concessions from you. And so the idea that you decide to make airspace inaccessible, I was like, what are you children? Is this a fit? You know who your daddy is.
That's exactly
The United States is your daddy.
And you know it.
Which is why we're not doing anything to the strait. We're just letting them suffer with it.
And they should. They should. If they want to do something, if they want to make a difference, if they want to lend a hand, even late, then they can. As a matter of fact, let's go to Trump 8. Talking about the allies, we're not going to let you get hurt, but you're going to have to participate.
So I want to thank our allies in the Middle East, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain. They've been great, and we will not let them get hurt or fail in any way, shape, or form.
When it comes to Europe, I don't know. What do we owe y'all at this point? That's the question I would have for the NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte. I would ask him, what do we owe? What do you think we owe y'all at this point? Who's been the biggest supporter? And it's against my will. It's against my wishes. Who has propped up Ukraine the entirety of the Ukraine war against Russia? And please don't misread me. I'm not saying Russia's the good guy. They're not. But Ukraine and Zelensky are not the good guys either. Are the Russian people fine? Yes, I believe most of them are. Are the Ukrainian people fine? Yes, I believe most of them are. But their leadership are both sides just as corrupt. We've talked about this for years now. Who's done more in Ukraine than the United States? Nobody. And that's in their backyard. What have we done? We have provided, again, against my will, against my wishes. But the United States did exactly what NATO asked them to do when they couldn't even do it. I remember we joked about Germany sending 5,000 used helmets. That was their contribution early. What do we owe you exactly, NATO?
Well, then here's where you're having to pay for it. So I was reading this one poster, and they thought they were making a great point. It was, open the strait in 2 days or we'll obliterate you. Open the strait in 10 days or we'll obliterate you. So it says, okay, we're leaving and we don't care if the strait is open. Is that where we're at now? Like, yeah, because it only hurts NATO and Europe.
That's right.
We're basically telling them, it's like, okay.
But doesn't bother us, huh?
We don't worry about it. It's like, why am I worried about what's in my neighbor's garage? It doesn't affect me one bit. That's the way Trump and this administration is treating that. If they wanted to open up the strait, it would have been opened up yesterday.
And here's the other thing. Iran charging at least some of the people going through the Straits of Hormuz like $2 million per ship. You paying that? Are you just going to roll over and say, yeah, I'll pay the $2 million for every ship that goes through that has a European flag? Is that what you're going to do? Is that the grand plan? Here's what General Mark Rutte said, if you remember this, in Brussels. If anyone thinks that Europe or the European Union as a whole can defend itself without the U.S., keep on dreaming. We can't. That's what NATO is. It is a paper tiger. Donald Trump knows it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. Morning Extra on Extra 106.3 when we come back. The justice who embarrassed herself again. Next on Extra.
Fighting the communists with truth every day on the only conservative news and talk station in Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Don't wait. You can't wait till it breaks. That'd be the worst plan ever. Let's say we get to June. Let's say we get into July. And heaven forbid, August. And your AC goes down. Do not wait for it to break. These emergencies are expensive, and most system failure is preventable. The system works the hardest during the extreme Georgia summer. You know that. It's common sense. Get a maintenance agreement today with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Chuck and his team come out twice a year before the heat rolls in and does that maintenance. It extends the life of the current system. Those small issues that they find during those maintenance agreement check-ins, they are able to fix those ahead of time. They're able to take care of those things, those safety inspections that need to be done. Make sure that your home is safe, your AC is safe, your family is safe, and comfortable. Air conditioners don't usually break in early to late March into April. It's July when you need them the most. So now's the best time, now that we've gotten into April, to get that maintenance agreement with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. Call 770-GET-HEAT. Go to centralheat.com to get it done today.
A company that has been trusted in Atlanta for over 25 years has already done their hometown homework, like having the very best people, fair, honest pricing, exceptional customer service, and a focus on high-quality work. That's us. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons Garage, Entry Doors, and Windows. Sometimes new isn't better, like out-of-town home improvement companies invading Atlanta with their inflated pricing and subpar work. When trust matters, trust us. All the number 4 Seasons Garages.
Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. The legacy of Joe Biden lives. His open border policy let millions of illegal criminals stream into our country. We continue to have customers visit the showroom and report that they have been victims of break-ins and lost their hard-earned and irreplaceable items. So don't be a victim. Drive by the Safe House showroom and see what real security looks like. Picture yourself placing your valuables in a Fort Knox safe. Now that's real protection for your priceless valuables. Drop by the showroom or go to AtlantaSafehouse.com.
Hey, this is Los with David from Atlanta, who just purchased his new car with the Honest Car Guy, the new, fully transparent way to buy your next vehicle. David, tell us about your experience.
I had been looking for a vehicle for a couple months. The car buying process was a little challenging at first for me. I had some credit issues in the past, and I just happened to hear a familiar voice on the radio, and it happened to be on the Honest Car Guy ad. I got in touch with Tom. Within 2, maybe 3 days, I had a vehicle being shipped here from Orlando, Florida. I have already recommended him to family members, several friends, and I'll purchase a car from Tom when I make my next purchase for sure.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Field service engineer positions offered by Electa Inc. in Atlanta, Georgia. Independently perform routine troubleshooting and repairs on the designated modality with an 80% success rate of diagnosing the problem while working within the escalation procedure. Must be willing to travel domestically 50%. Employee reports to Atlanta, Georgia, but may telecommute from any location in the U.S. Please submit resume to michelle.robateau@electa.com. Reference job ID 4529796.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Thursday, April 2nd, and here are your headlines. Metro Atlanta nonprofit is opening a new headquarters to help people transition out of homelessness, with 160 housing units now available for program graduates. Leaders with Georgia Works say they have already helped more than 1,200 men get jobs and off the street, with rent set well below market rates. Doctors are warning about possible vision risk linked to the popular GLP-1 weight loss drugs, including swelling of optic nerves that can lead to vision loss. Experts recommend getting a comprehensive eye exam before and shortly after starting the medication. And finally, a major literacy bill is now awaiting Governor Brian Kemp's signature, aiming to address low reading rates statewide. The plan would place literacy coaches in schools and come as about 60% of third graders are not reading on grade level. Coming up in 1 hour from now, Brad Raffensperger will join Tug and Los on the Morning Extra. Today's weather will be mostly sunny with a high of 85 and a low of 63. With your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Gobert.
Appreciate all the calls this morning and messages via social media and email, too, about the Brad Raffensperger discussion, conversation, interview, if you want to call it that. Ted called and left us a message, and we appreciate him doing that. So if there's anything that you think would be good to work in, at Extra 106.3 across social media platforms, 404-741-1230. Easy to get a hold of us. It certainly is. You can always find us. And if you didn't get those, you can easily link to them at extra1063.com. 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert, 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. Yesterday, I had a recording session with the Warrior Lines, which love those guys. Sat down with 3 amazing people that either were veterans, or I guess are veterans, were active military, or that were the wife of an active military special operator specifically. people that work for the Warrior Alliance and some of the things that they do. Then even walked across the way to spend some time with those folks. Watched a couple innings of the Braves game before went on home. But front office Los, when he walked out of the studio yesterday, he opened this studio door, and for YouTube, you may be able to see some of this. We have a studio door that leads into Bryce's studio, and then out the door into kind of the general area here at Dickey Broadcasting. And from the second that first door opened in the studio, Los had his phone to his ear like this. You know how when you're trying to listen to like a cut on social media or a conversation that or maybe even a podcast, our podcast, the Morning Xtra podcast, you kind of put it up to your ear and you just walk. You've seen people do that. That's what Los did with the Birthright Citizenship hearing in front of SCOTUS yesterday. Dude, you were dialed in.
I love this stuff. I love hearing the arguments. I love hearing the questions. We are expected to get a ruling probably last week in June. Session will be over with on June 30th, and typically you have the court will, as they get out of town, it's like, ta-ta, here's our ruling, see y'all later. It's like, we got to get out of here.
Yep.
I do expect that to how it's going to play out, and I believe that based on hearing not just the arguments, because the arguments were really focused on two things. The idea of the industry that has been created of showing up here without legal residence, legal status, and having a child, and that child then having the rights that any one of us as American citizens have. They weren't really focused on illegal immigration. They didn't have to. It was about that scenario because when the framing of this law was put together and then the 14th Amendment went into play, it was dealing, at least the two people that put it together from Congress, a gentleman from Ohio and another one from Michigan, were bringing up what happens when you're an ambassador in this country. That if you have a child, that child does not have U.S. citizen rights. That was the original portion of this. And so that's where they were arguing that particular. They talked about domicile as far as where you're from, where's your permanent residence. Well, because Ketanji Brown Jackson, Ketanji Blue Sky Jackson, as I like to think of her now, she decided she was going to ask John Sauer about a particular scenario. And this all went back to legal status, permanent residence, where is your allegiance to? And so in this case, she creates, because this is what liberals do. They create scenarios by which they can be correct. Well, this is now the go-between of the question basically being, well, when you're in a hospital room, what do? Do you question the legal status of how long someone plans to be here? Take a listen.
As there's currently a system where, for example, Social Security numbers are generated based on the birth certificate. They say this can still be, for the vast majority of instances, completely transparent. You will still get
not transparent. I'm just talking about the particulars, because now you say your rule turns on whether the person intended to stay in the United States. And I think Justice Barrett brought this up. So are we bringing pregnant women in for depositions? What are we doing to figure this out?
No, as I pointed out earlier, the executive order turns on lawfulness of status. So if you give birth to a baby in the hospital right now, it gets the birth certificate in the system. There's a computer system.
So there's no opportunity. There's apparently no opportunity then for the person to prove or to say that they actually intended to stay in the United States.
Absolutely not. The opposite is true. Their opportunity to dispute if they think they were wrongly denied, which would only happen in a tiny minority of cases, is directly addressed in that guidance.
After the fact.
Yes.
After their baby has been denied citizenship, then we can go through the process.
Yes. And the way that, I'm summarizing because I'm not an expert in computers, but there's a computer program that currently automatically generates a Social Security number. SSA says, look, a Social Security number, non-citizens can have them if they have work authorization, so it doesn't prove citizenship. We'll give you a Social Security number, provided that there's the system automatically checks the immigration status of the parents, which there are robust databases for, and then it appears no different to the vast majority of birthing parents.
Thank you.
So, in question, it's rather than just saying, hey, if you are here on a temporary status, which now 9% of all births in this country are occurring to people that are here on a temporary status.
That's a gigantic number.
It's 300,000 is the number that Will Kane and Fox News had.
And that's per year.
That's per year. 9% of total births in this country now are under temporary status. We don't call them illegal. We just say you're here for temporary status. Well, rather than automatically generating citizenship for that child, the counter argument is, well, they can appeal for the process, but they're just not given this. And that was part of the argument that was going on. There are so many interesting angles to this because the 14th Amendment, when we get right down to it, was made for those that had come out of slavery. It was never intended for how it's being used and proliferated now.
Does anybody argue that?
I heard it yesterday.
Well, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
The ACLU. Right. But I'm saying actual Americans, citizens of this country, does anybody dispute that? I don't think that I've seen no one other than the ACLU and leftists bring that up.
Well, I think we can all acknowledge this was the intention, but this is how it is now being
That's
used.
Right. Being bastardized even.
These are two different actions entirely. Slavery is not something that exists in this country any longer. Yet, you have an amendment that is there for those people that are born in this country. The problem is that, and this was pointed out several times by not just the Supreme Court justices, but you have to now say, do you take a strict interpretation of the law, which, by the way, is still, because it's vague, even that is under discussion. Or do you say the current day of how it's being implemented is not in the best interest of America as a society?
Which is the right answer.
But we're also, and this is where you're stuck in a rock and a hard place. John Roberts is one of those, doesn't believe in a living constitution. It's like, what's the Constitution? What does it say? Okay. So you had two different things going on yesterday. You had a discussion of the current atmosphere, but you also had a discussion of, and what did the people that put together this law intend?
Yeah, what was their intent?
Because if their intention was that this could not happen, well, then you're fine. If you want to argue that it is a living discussion based on changing times, well, then you have a discussion. But if you're saying that the people that created the law strictly meant everyone born here is automatically a citizen, well, then you're going to lose 5-4.
Yeah. I would like to take the argument that the lawyer Sawyer made and then Ketanji Brown Jackson had an exchange with, and just remove the mother and the child and put them in a hospital in Japan.
They're not citizens.
Of course not. Of course not.
And that was the argument over domicile and then also soil. Just because you're here does not...
The right of soil.
The rest of the world.
Right of soil versus right of bloodline.
Right.
Or right of blood, as it's called.
So, but here was also the other issue you ran into, and this is Ketanji Brown Jackson, and she's talking about the creation of the law, the creation of the 14th Amendment. And this is my issue that I take, because you can hear the other arguments. Like, I know when I listen to an argument from Sotomayor, I know it's a leftist argument, but at no point do I say, well, she's got her information wrong. I can hear, in fact, Amy Coney Barrett, at one point, I'm like, oh, why are you bringing that up? But she's basically creating a devil's advocate scenario of explain how this law would affect this, how this, as the EO, your interpretation of this ruling, how would this change? Ketanji Brown Jackson starts asking questions in which she doesn't even know the origins of.
Okay, well, what do we do with, I mean, that's a debate, and it's a discussion, very valid, but then we have a subsequent debate between Fessenden and Wade, where the same concept comes up, and it becomes clear, at least from Senator Wade's perspective, that that's wrong. So Fessenden, and I'm not sure whether these are senators, I apologize. Fessenden says, suppose a person is born here of parents from abroad temporarily in this country. Wade responds, the senator says a person may be born here and not be a citizen. I know that is so in one instance, in the case of the children of foreign ministers who reside near the United States, et cetera, et cetera. So it appears as though in that exchange, at least Senator Wade believed that the English common law understanding of what it means to have allegiance, to be a temporary person on the soil, was what was being adopted.
Yeah, that exchange strongly supports us. If you look at it in context, Senator Wade has introduced a version that says only birth on U.S. soil and doesn't have any allegiance or jurisdictional element to it. And so Senator Fessenden stands up and says, well, that can't be right because, obviously, what about the children of temporary visitors? It has this, it's another one of these statements that has this appeal to a background understanding that.
So she's asking a question without any of the background information, And now he's having to spend his time having to explaining what they were actually having a discussion on. It was...
You'd think the staff would be like, at least have her... Because, I mean, they have a plenty of staff. It seems like they would have her prepped a little bit.
I mean, you're reading the briefing. You go into it having read the briefing and reading each argument from each side, and now they get to make their case in front of you. And you pretty much decide over the next day or so what your vote is, and here's what. And then you get to write your legal opinion, and that'll come out in June. But I was so surprised that she created the amount of scenarios that she did in order to validate her opinions, including the stolen wallet theory.
The amount of times that she was mentioned, it stood out to me because I would see some of the liberal point of view, and I would read it and be like, okay. I would see some of the conservatives' point of view, whether Alito or any of the others, Amy Coney, whomever. And it was always a point counterpoint. When it was her, it was always like, question mark?
It was a creation of a scenario.
But it was always something negative. There was nothing like, oh wow, that was a really good point.
Her job is to sit on the court and basically be a hardcore leftist. The parading around as some sort of legal scholar, the amount of times that she creates scenarios by which she then asks a question is very strange, considering that the rest of the justices will ask a question based on the briefing or based on legal precedent or based on history. She made up a scenario in which case she steals a wallet in Japan and she's then subjected to Japanese law. And that was her scenario to set up if you have a child here in this country, aren't you?
Yeah. Under the law of said country.
Right.
Dude.
Which totally throws out the window that there are nuances between different countries when it comes to birthright citizenship.
When we talk about the Democrats wanting to pack the court, that's what they want to pack it with. Right there. Hardcore leftists. Doesn't matter they know something or don't know something. It is that they want to make the Supreme Court if they have the opportunity. That way, the vote goes their way every time. Put people like her on the court, and as many as you can. Says the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. The TDS tweet delete on Extra 106.3, and we got into the discussion. How about we give away? We'll give away the Greg Gutfeld tickets first thing in the next segment. If you're here for Greg Gutfeld tickets, we will do that next, even before we get into the content on Extra 106.3.
Extra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, April 2nd. The Atlanta Braves took the rubber match of their 3-game series with the Athletics yesterday afternoon. 5-1 the final as the team now heads out west. They'll put up a 4-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks beginning tonight. It'll be Ronaldo Lopez on the mound. He'll be opposed by Ryan Nelson. First pitch is set for 9:40. You can hear all the Braves action on our sister station, 680 The Fan and the Fan app. From the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks keep rolling. The team went on the road last night, blew out the Orlando Magic 130-101. Nickeil Alexander-Walker scored 32. Jalen Johnson, another double-double, grabbing 14 rebounds to go along with scoring 18 points. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they play the Nets in Brooklyn. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
This spring, the Braves are bringing you 7 games of big league value at Little League prices. With the spring value games, you get $10 tickets and $10 parking. And deals on your ballpark favorites like $2.50 hot dogs and $3.99 Miller High Lifes. Plus, score big deals on merchandise at the Braves Clubhouse store. So bring your crew to experience 7 games of unbeatable value. Find the details at Braves.com/value. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves country.
Let's be honest. All cars and all car dealerships are not created equally. So when you're buying a new Toyota, you're not buying a vehicle, you're protecting a major investment. That's why where you buy matters. For over 50 years, Marietta Toyota served our community with the reputation built on straight answers, real accountability, and doing business the right way, proudly here since 1975. They have realized since day one that giving the customer the best deal possible, more car than they thought they were going to get inside their budget, that's how you keep people coming back. Here's the difference you won't hear everywhere. Every new Toyota comes with our nationwide lifetime powertrain warranty. That's valid for unlimited time and unlimited mileage as long as you own your Toyota. That's long-term confidence backed by Toyota quality and, of course, supported by Marietta Toyota, a dealership that will be here after the sale with service and genuine Toyota parts on Cobb Parkway South. Visit Marietta Toyota on Cobb Parkway South, about 3 miles north of Truist Park. MariettaToyota.com. Visit Marietta Toyota. We've been here and we'll be here for you.
Nationwide lifetime powertrain warranty included with every new Toyota purchase. See dealer for coverage details, exclusions, and requirements.
When I first started using a CPAP, getting supplies and equipment was a horrible hassle. It pretty much stayed that way until I discovered CPAPs, etc.com. Same-day shipping on anything you might need, including travel CPAPs, hoses, masks, you name it. Same-day shipping. CPAPsETC.com or visit their store in Alpharetta. So easy, and you could be preserving your health and saving your life.
Calling all contractors. Stovall & Company Wholesale Landscape Supply is here for you.
We've been family owned and operated for more than 75 years, and we just opened our 11th location in Canton, Georgia.
We are proud to provide all your wholesale irrigation, nursery, and landscape supply needs.
We are partnered with Keystone Hardscape to offer a wide variety of products to enhance any outdoor living space.
Here at Stovall, we have it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com or visit any of our convenient locations throughout North Georgia.
Retirement should feel exciting, not stressful. But if you're close to retirement or already there, have you ever stopped to ask, do I really understand the risks to my plan? Hi, I'm David Nicholas, president of Nicholas Wealth Management. Things like market swings, higher taxes, inflation, healthcare costs, even living longer than expected can slowly chip away at your savings if you're not prepared. And even solid plans can have blind spots. That's why we offer a retirement risk analysis. It looks at how your investments, income, and taxes could hold up in real-life situations, not just on paper. It helps answer the big questions. What happens if the market drops? And will your money last as long as you do? If you're within 10 years of retirement or already retired, give us a call, 678-990-8500, or visit nicholaswealth.com to schedule a complimentary retirement risk analysis. Nicholas Wealth Management, helping you retire with clarity, confidence, and control.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm. This is for informational purposes only and is not specific investment advice.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6.
Neo tweets about the Iranian women's soccer team asking to stay in Australia rather than go back to fascist Iran. Yeah. Where are the feminists? Where is Greta Thunberg? Yeah. Where is Angelina Jolie? Where's Jane Fonda? Where's Natalie Portman? Where's Amal Clooney? Where are the libs? Where are they?
Yeah. Anybody say anything about this?
Every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3, 925. Brad Raffensperger, Georgia Secretary of State and candidate for the seat of governor in the state of Georgia, joins us at 9:25 here on Extra 106.3. Promised you these Gutfeld tickets. Let's give them away right now. Libertarian and political satirist, humorist, author, and host of Fox News Channel's Gutfeld Show. He's coming to Gas South Arena April 11th. If you'd like to be there too, then give us a call. We'll take caller number 5 at 404-741-1230. 404-741-1230. Caller number 5, you are in. We're going to give these tickets away for, again, tomorrow and then through, I think, Wednesday of next week. If you, for some reason, don't win tickets, you can buy them at Ticketmaster.com. Gutfeld should be super funny, should be a fun night out, and I hope you'll enjoy it when you win these tickets here on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. So I was reading this this post from the Associated Press, and this came out ahead of the SCOTUS hearing yesterday on birthright citizenship, and it said, breaking, President Donald Trump to attend Wednesday's Supreme Court hearing on birthright citizenship, making him the first sitting president to attend oral arguments at the nation's highest court. And that stood out to me. I was like, wow, dude, he's going to ease himself over there.
Interesting. He did go.
And he's got a vested interest in going, right? He wants them to know this is important. So important that I'm leaving what I'm doing, conducting a war, to come over here and observe.
Considering that as soon as we were done at 10 o'clock, I put it on my phone to then hear that the President of the United States was in the chamber. Like, okay, yeah.
That's big time.
I knew this was going to be a very important day in the Supreme Court. And so to have the president for the first time show up to one of these proceedings is it does tell you about how big of a deal it is.
Without a doubt. And then the TDS exploded.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Here it comes.
It was strong and real. Democrat Susie Lee of Nevada, she had this profanity-laced tweet that she deleted, but of course the internet's forever, about Donald Trump being there. And it sounded like a female version of James Carville. Remember when James Carville said, yes, I have TDS. Give me some more. I want to roll around in it like a pig in slop. Give me all I can get. So, at Susie Lee NV, about the tweet, addressing the tweet from the Associated Press, so effed up. I pray they F him to his face. Sorry. I say F a lot these days.
Wow, okay.
I was afraid I was going to stumble and say something I wasn't supposed to, just trying to get it all out. How deranged. They talk about decorum sometimes when it's convenient. They talk about decorum. And I don't know that Susie has any.
I don't know why the Democrats did this. I think they got some bad information. Remember when after Trump was inaugurated, their thinking was from whether it was their strategists, some polling, where you were told you have to fight like Trump. And so they all started cursing.
Yep. And that was the thing. You had to curse. And I don't even know that he curses that much.
And then it went so poorly, they went away from it.
Yep.
Like they stopped after a month. They're like, this isn't working. This doesn't look good for us.
Susie didn't get a message.
No.
Or the TDS overrode.
That's real TDS.
That is exactly
But
right.
I thought it was important, and I think this was a great angle from one of the court reporters, that coming off of your No Kings rally, which, by the way, the media did bury that thing pretty hard this week.
Because it looks so ridiculous.
Yes, they buried it pretty quickly. Coming off of that, you have a man who's sitting in the courtroom who is the President of the United States, and yet he has no power in there. It is a perfect example of how there is no king.
That's right.
This is the president who has the equal amount of power as those 9 justices as a court.
Not like he can raise his hand and say, hey,
hold on a second.
This is what I was talking about. No, the lawyer speaks.
The co-equal branches of government are right in front of you.
He sat and didn't say a word that I know of. I didn't hear, because if he would have said a word, that would have been the biggest story on MS Now as we have it on in the studio. But somebody tweeted, someone needs to take away Susie's phone when she's drinking. It's exactly right, man. It's so silly. It's so absurd. And yet, that's what the Democrats do over and over and over again. It's not a good look for the party. There's a reason when we played that cut from Rahm Emanuel earlier, he says, we've lost the plot. This is another example of how they've lost the plot. Who's taking that serious, dude? I can't. I mean, I'm afraid to read it again because I'm afraid I'm going to stumble and inadvertently say something. It was filled with so many F-bombs that she deleted it because she goes, oh, wow. Or you know what? I doubt it. I take that back. I doubt that she deleted it because she thought about it. Somebody probably called her and said, hey, you probably need to take a second look at this. You probably need to maybe reconsider because this ain't a good look. And then it ultimately got deleted. But it is. It's TDS like we've never seen before. And I expect that that is going to be exploding today and into the weekend because of SCOTUS, because of the address to the nation about Iran. But look, I'm surprised they aren't booing Artemis 2. But the fact that Donald Trump mentioned it last night, I'm surprised they're not saying something ugly about that too. You know, because that's what, if Donald Trump's involved with it or attached to it, then it's automatically bad. And one big beautiful bill, OBBB, is what funded that. And it was funny to see Senator...
well, Chuck Schumer was one of them that was like, can't wait to go.
Yeah.
It's like, you voted against it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And then the former astronaut from Arizona.
Mark
Kelly, thank you. He's another that had tweeted about it. And they're like, well, dude,
you didn't vote for this.
Yeah, you realize they had nothing to do with this,
like
right?
This funding came out of elsewhere that you would not vote for.
That's exactly right, dude.
But, they'll always do the same thing, which is, well, there was angles of this bill, and we did not like some of the angles it was taking and some of the policies.
This part is fine. Yeah.
But again, it's a rocket going to it's pretty cool.
It's amazing.
Now, it also kind of tells you, so we can't get the bathroom to work correctly.
Yeah, well, that's trouble. Well, and there was so many delays, and there's some NASA issues that everybody's mostly aware of.
But at least we can now put to bed that we don't have the technology to go back to the moon.
No, that's right. Yeah, I think that's good.
So we got reflectors up there. We've been.
Yeah.
But I do have my questions.
Yeah, and you should. Dude, you should question everything, especially when it comes from an authority figure.
Tug's going to tell you about those alien bases on the moon.
Well, dude, I wasn't reading about alien bases.
Got him.
No, I wasn't reading about alien.
Here he comes.
But what I was reading about was the importance of the new space race in the fact that at some point, whoever gets there first will be able to lay claim to, legally lay claim to. So there's that part of it. And then there's the weaponizing of space from the moon and what that means for civilization on Earth. The Chinese, they're racing to get there too.
They're trying to get there as well.
And it all boils down to, it sounds like a plot to a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, it's who can get there first and who can, I want to say colonize, but then we're also talking about what makes the left, I don't know if you saw some of the posts about, well, look, we're sending and it was just more of our colonization. Well, that's what we do.
That's what humans do.
Yes.
Not just we, but they're just humans.
We go find new and interesting places to be in, and then we go make it more human.
That's right. Or make it more like us if it's just across the globe, David, congratulations. He watches Gutfeld every night, loves the 5-2 with Greg Gutfeld. David is going to see Greg Gutfeld April 11th. You can get your tickets at Ticketmaster.com or win them tomorrow here on the Morning Extra. We'll do that again at 8:25. I know we pushed it back a little bit today, but that's when we'll do it again. All right, when we come back on the Morning Extra, the one thing that SCOTUS cannot do when it comes to birthright citizenship. Next on Extra.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Here's the scenario. Impossibly fat woman shoplifts from Walmart. They catch her. She tries to escape. They put her on the ground. She starts screaming, "Walmart is racist! Walmart is racist!" Yep. She's black. In Florida, a local politician objecting strongly to a proclamation honoring Charlie Kirk. Why? Because he's a liar and a racist. Yep, the politician is black. Now, I'm really close to not giving a damn, but it is very, very tiring to hear people screaming racism all the time. So I went to AI. I asked AI, what's the difference between prejudice, bigotry, and racism? I wanted to see if my past comments on this issue were close to valid. Well, yes, they were. Here are some definitions. Prejudice first. Very simple. Prejudice is prejudging somebody, coming up with an opinion about somebody before you even know them. It might be unfair, often is, but it's something that can be corrected. Then we get to bigotry. A bigot isn't just wrong in their prejudgments of somebody else, but it's an opinion that they're not going to abandon. They're going to stick with it. Evidence doesn't matter. Exceptions don't matter. They hate that person, and that's the way it's going to stay. And then we come to racism. Racism is the belief that some people are inherently and genetically inferior to others. It gets narrowed down to this. Prejudice is a thought. Bigotry is a refusal to rethink. Racism isn't a thought, it's a belief. A belief in inherited genetic inferiority of one race compared to another. My friends, we cannot solve our problems with race until we properly identify them. Here's a start. Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Donald Trump's America.
President Donald Trump's push to ban automatic citizenship for those born in the U.S. is in the hands of the Supreme Court. He listened to Solicitor General D. John Sauer make the case for his order in person on Wednesday, becoming the first U.S. president to do so.
It demeans the priceless and profound gift of American citizenship. It operates as a powerful pull factor for illegal immigration and rewards illegal aliens who not only violate the immigration laws, but also jump in front of those who follow the rules.
Cecilia Wong argued for the plaintiffs who had children last year who were at risk of being denied citizenship.
The 14th Amendment's fixed, bright-line rule has contributed to the growth and thriving of our nation. It comes from text and history. It is workable, and it prevents manipulation. The executive order fails on all those counts.
Both conservative and liberal justices questioned whether the executive order is in line with the Constitution and federal law. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Streaming across Georgia on the Extra 106.3 app. This is WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. Extra 106.3.
This is a Fox News alert. More strikes to come in Iran. I'm Chris Foster.
We are on track to complete all of America's military objectives shortly, very shortly.
President Trump, in an address to the nation, says Iran will be hit very hard in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
The country has been eviscerated and essentially is really no longer a threat.
Iran's military warns of what it calls broadening and crushing attacks in response.
Shortly before President Trump's address to the nation last night, explosions were heard in Dubai. Air defences working to intercept an Iranian barrage. Less than half an hour after the president was done, Israel said its military was working to intercept incoming missiles. Iran's presidential office dismissed President Trump's speech as insane.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. Oil prices have been up around 10% since yesterday. The 4 astronauts on the Artemis 2 moon mission have been getting some work done, sandwiched in between 4-hour down periods for sleep.
They're going to be spending most of the day conducting checks around their Orion spacecraft, making sure that it's ready to go on to the moon. Engineers on the ground are trying to investigate the cause of a very temporary communications problem. It occurred about 51 minutes after launch. For just a couple minutes, the astronaut on the ground assigned to capsule communication had trouble receiving messages from the flight crew. It happened while the spacecraft was switching links from one communications satellite to another, and Mission Control quickly reestablished contact with the crew.
Fox's Jonathan Sari at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. There's no action on it today in the House, but the Senate has sent back to the House a bill that would end the partial government shutdown by funding Homeland Security, except for immigration and border enforcement, without reforms demanded by Democrats. That funding would be funded separately later. The plan was rejected by the House and President Trump last week. America's listening to Fox News.
For years, I've talked about Relief Factor. You've heard stories about the people who finally found real relief after trying the 3-week quick start. I'm one of those stories. My pain had become so bad that I was starting to believe that my best days were behind me. This was like 10 years ago. Relief was not in the picture until I tried Relief Factor. They are always striving to help people get out and stay out of pain. And remarkably, Relief Factor has made their already trusted formula even better. They've added premium black pepper extract because apparently that helps your body absorb the high-quality key ingredients more efficiently. So in simple terms, it helps your body get even more benefit from what you're already taking. And that matters. If you're going to take something daily, you want your body actually using as much of it as possible. So if you've been listening to me talk about Relief Factor for a while, this is your moment. Or if you're already taking it, you're now going to get the enhanced formula designed to work even smarter. Start with a 3-week quick start. It's $19.95 at ReliefFactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. How will it feel to be out of pain? ReliefFactor.com.
Finally, there is conservative talk in Atlanta, Georgia.
Tug and Los until 10 here on Extra 106.3. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Ted leaving a message talking about our guest, Brad Raffensperger, at 9:25. Also, David calling in a minute ago, talking about just the technology we have going to the moon and or going to the moon again.
For those that question going to the moon, which I've just told you, I think the promo shots that they have, I don't really buy into those. But we've been to the moon. We have reflectors that are up on the moon.
Yeah.
But is it strange that it basically has taken us since, 1972 is the last time we were actually there?
Yeah. Yeah. So I understand why people have questions.
I get it. It's a fun conspiracy theory.
Absolutely. And it's fun to talk about. It is. Which is what made, Art Bell so fun.
Yeah,
when
sure.
you listen to
All
those
conspiracies
are
are fun.
Yeah, they are. Absolutely right.
And then every now and then you get Plum Island.
Yeah.
You get the Lone Star Tick, and you learn a little something from this show.
Yeah, Los will knock out a story time. Goodness.
Are we getting the Friday Files tomorrow?
Yes, I believe we're going to get into a number of these scientists that keep disappearing.
Dude, it is fascinating. I was reading about it yesterday.
It's creepy.
So stinking creepy. And what makes it even creepier is a tweet that Tim Burchett, or a comment that Tim Burchett made when being asked. It was on Newsmax. And he said he cannot respond to former Rep. Matt Gaetz' claims of there being an alien hybrid breeding program while in Congress. He said, Burchett said this. He said, I can't respond to that. And if they would release the things that I've seen, you'd be up at night thinking about this stuff. I was briefed 2 weeks ago. It would set the earth, this country, would have come unglued if they would have heard what I heard. They would demand answers. Unfortunately, it keeps getting covered up. People are dying or disappearing, to Los's point. For the record, I'm not suicidal and I don't take risks. I told the president to release it all. Dude, I'm the biggest skeptic in the world. But when Tim Burchett is saying something like that, I'm like, okay, what is it that I don't know? What is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm naive to or choose not to believe? What is it that I'm missing about this? I don't want to be honest, I don't know that I want to be up all hours of the night thinking about this.
When the man from Tennessee who's pretty all shucks is telling you this stuff, do you not go,
Yes, yeah, absolutely do.
Good.
For sure.
There's another fun one.
Yeah. Dude, I'm telling you, there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. It's so interesting, so fascinating. And I've never been super interested. For whatever reason, it's just never captivated me like it does a lot of people. But now when you start talking about keeping you up at night, if you saw what I saw, it would keep you up at night. That coming from a man like you're describing, just a regular, everyday American, former mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee. I got, a bunch of family that lives in Knoxville or in and around Knoxville. Regular dude. When he's talking about it, it does get my attention.
When I explain it all to you, at some point you'll text me in the evening and be like, that was too much, man.
I can't sleep.
That was too much. I can't sleep.
Can you come spoon with me?
I'm fresh out of bourbon. Right. I need something to put me to sleep.
Seriously, I need something.
I'm having a hard time thinking about this.
You reckon any of those clowns in the office got those gummies? Can Neil Bortz mail me something? Is it legal to mail something?
Oh, by the way, I just got a picture from a friend of mine. Thank you, Mr. Seabolt. It's the image from Dumb and Dumber of when Jim Carrey sees the newspaper about going to the moon. And he celebrates. He's like, we landed on the moon. No way. We landed on the moon.
So good. That's great. Oh, man. That's awesome.
Well, we're supposed to land there in 27.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And beat the Chinese. The Chinese have targeted 2030. So we're going to try to edge them out because it comes down to legal status on the moon. We talked about it in the last segment. Legal status on the moon. And then weaponization of space. There's a real concern there, weaponization of space, knocking out satellites, taking down modern life, especially for one group of people, one continent. If you're the Chinese, another thing quickly before we get into the thing that SCOTUS cannot get wrong, there's a tweet from Defend the West, and Brian Kilmeade from Fox News Channel, he quote tweeted it about 45 minutes ago. Remember when we talked about earlier, the reason that it came to me just out of the blue yesterday of why, on top of NATO being a paper tiger, top of NATO not carrying their own weight, and Secretary General Root had already said, no, Europe can't defend itself. We need the United States. He said that in Brussels. It came to me that it was because of the invasion of Muslims from the Middle East and Northern Africa into Europe, and it has become a major problem for just living there.
To the point where, as we were explaining, that is now an influential point of their foreign policy. And then you see this note today.
And it is French police cars fleeing a Muslim infested neighborhood. They've become no-go zones very quickly, and you see these little minivan-looking French police cars, and there's a group of people pursuing them, and the cars are trying their damnedest to get out of there because it has become a no-go zone. That's the other reason. That's the reason that came to me. Oh, Europe can't fight Iran. They will have an uprising like you've never seen before. It will be full civil war if they were to do that.
They have a large enough population. It's reached critical mass. And the main problem you have, these are not people that are looking to assimilate with the rest of Europe. They want to take over Europe.
Yeah, and made it clear. And they're making it clear here. It's not like they're hiding it.
No.
There's all kinds of clerics here that are saying, use government, get elected in government because this is our way to take over.
They're looking to use the left. They're looking to align with them. And as history has always shown, then the left looks around and goes, wait a minute, turns out that they're really extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always were.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been waving the red flag. We've been letting you know. We've been talking about it here on Extra 106.3. Okay, let's get to the first thing to know this morning about SCOTUS.
They want you awake, informed, and ready to fight for the facts of the day in the land of the free. Now your sleepyhead nation needs your wake-up call. A mighty dose of reality coming in strong. Soon as the sun cracks the horizon so high, man, we got the story, no time for a lie.
Got him.
Put a boot in your ass, courtesy of the Morning
you did
Xtra.
get him. Got him.
Got him. Love it.
I thought this was a really fascinating portion that Fox News ended up doing some work on this. And we're just talking about when it comes to birthright citizenship, the amount of people that have come in under temporary status and have had kids. And because a lot of the discussion that we have when it comes, let's say, the Save America Act, we'll acknowledge that, well, how many illegals are voting? Well, we can't really tell you, but we're just told it's a minimal amount. Well, what happens when 9% of your total births in your country are having come from people that are here on a temporary status? I mean, 9%, it's 300,000 a year that are now been granted American citizenship without actually having American parents. I mean, this is a real problem. And so that was the issue. That was the line that you had that was going on at the Supreme Court, where they weren't arguing about the people that come across the border and then have kids. Like, that's, you can acknowledge it, but the greater discussion point was always about people that, let's say they're an ambassador here, but they don't have legal status, they don't have domicile. So why do their children get to be American citizens? And so that was, it really kind of encapsulated how big the problem actually was, and at least laying out the argument to the 9 justices to say, this is something that needs to be addressed more than just all right, it's always 8-1.
Yeah.
It's always Ketanji Brown Jackson. But why it's not a slam dunk.
No. And the crazy thing that just drives me crazy is that I don't expect they're going to get it right, dude. Maybe that's the fault in me, right? Maybe I always expect the worst, hope for the best. I don't expect they're going to get it right. And I think they have to. They have to get this right. They must get this right. Because it's hard to imagine that Congress is going to get it right. And I know that's what they're looking for. As you said earlier, they're not trying to legislate from the bench.
No.
They want Congress to do the right thing. But even when something as popular as the SAVE Act can't even get brought to the floor without some sort of maneuvering, that tells me that Congress ain't going to be able to pass anything. Can you imagine them getting this right? That's why it is so important that SCOTUS gets it right.
Well, the clarification has to come from them. Now, if it ends up being 5-4 and it doesn't work out in the administration's favor, I believe that one of the opinions we written about will be how It is up to Congress to write that law.
Back to my point.
And to make that clear. And from a legal perspective, they'd be 100% right.
Yes.
But
they know better. They know Congress can't do anything. They know that.
It's kind of the nature of Congress. But if they choose where it's 5-4 and it goes in our favor, in the administration's favor, who believe the birthright citizenship with the 9% that are currently being born in this country that are not supposed to have legal status when this occurs, if this goes our way, it's going to be because of a strict interpretation of the intentions of the framers who wrote this back in the 1860s.
Yeah. And I think it's so clear and so easy. And maybe, me being dumb hillbilly from Northwest Georgia, when you say an ambassador's child that's born here is not a citizen, that clears it up for me. That's so obvious. I don't even know how there's an argument the other way. I know why there's an argument the other way. I just don't know how.
Well, and let's also be very open and honest about this. An amendment does not end up being, how I guess I should put this is this way. It's not uniform and forever and ever. I mean, we have a Second Amendment, yet you've had states and you've had the federal government have decided on certain types of weapons, certain types of additions to weapons. The right to bear arms, you have that. But, Joe Biden mixed it up when he's like, well, we don't allow you to have a cannon. Well, yeah, you can.
Yeah, right.
If you want.
Yeah. Hank Williams Jr. bought one.
But the federal government would kind of look at me funny if I was like, one of those M1s? I really want one of those tanks.
How do I get one?
How do I get a hold of one of those? There's constantly attacks to the Second Amendment to alter, change, slow it down, make little adjustments to it based on the rise in technology. Well, that is largely what this argument is that the 14th Amendment from the 1860s is being used in a way that is no longer representative of what it was originally intended to do.
The birth tourism thing was a major focus, without a doubt. And I want you to hear from Peter Schweitzer. And he talks about, this is from last year, I believe, 2025, right toward the end of the year, when he's testifying in front of the Senate about the birth tourism thing specifically. Listen.
In China alone, we have identified more than 1,000 birth tourism companies that are almost exclusively focused on the United States. Our federal government does not track this information because there is no centralized collection of information on the nationality of parents who are giving birth. China, however, has done estimates themselves, and the numbers are eye-popping. The Chinese government gave an estimate a few years ago. Their estimate was that on average 50,000 Chinese citizens a year were giving birth in the United States or at U.S. territories like Saipan. There are others like Professor Salvatore Barbonis from Australia who believes that number is higher. He's estimated 100,000. There was a research firm in China that estimated in 2018 alone 180,000 managed to give birth in the United States. No one knows what the actual number is, and that is the challenge that we face today. If you do the math, if you look at the ramping up of this activity over the last 13 years, and you take the ballpark estimates, you are looking at roughly 1 million, quote-unquote, U.S. citizens who are being raised in the People's Republic of China today. If you look at the websites of these birth tourism companies, they will tell you who is hiring them. These are not political dissidents. These are military officers, people from the Ministry of Propaganda, people that are high-ranking officials in the Chinese Communist Party. In other words, these are part of the CCP establishment.
Dude, that is why they cannot get this wrong at SCOTUS. And I know they know this information. Now, whether they choose to act on it, that's a different story altogether, right? But we know, and that's why I am really, really concerned that they're not going to get it right.
Because based on the current conditions, and that's what was being argued, that yes, here is the legal precedent from 1860 to the 1920s. And yes, it has altered over the last several decades. But if we're going by the strict original intention of the people that wrote the 14th Amendment and then got it passed, it was never supposed to be a loophole like it's being used by the Chinese communists and other countries around the world.
Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. We've been talking about it for the last couple days. Georgia's Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who's running for governor in the state, joins us next. on Extra 106.3.
You can stream Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station while you work at extra1063.com. Get the latest from the Morning Extra, The Kimmer Show, and Neil Bortz, and stay connected at the office. That's xtra1063.com.
Hey, it's Front Office Los with Tom, the honest car guy. Let's talk about the new way to buy a car in 2026. Tell me how you can save clients thousands of dollars in this process.
I got a customer here, Jeff Everhart. I met him today first time because I delivered his 25 model Honda Pilot, fully loaded with only 16,000 miles on it. Jeff, answer Los's question about that one.
It was actually shocking. I mean, you hear the advertisements, you want to believe it, and then when you go through with the sale, and there's no extras, there's no dock fees, there's no storage fees, no transportation fees. The price I was given was the price that I paid plus their honest fee. I did save thousands of dollars, and it was a very quick sale.
Well, we appreciate that.
And did it from my living room.
Did it from your living room.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
The smartest self-defense decision isn't made in the moment. It's made before the danger ever appears. Because when you pull a firearm trigger, you're not just stopping a threat. You might be starting a chain of legal, financial, and emotional consequences that can follow you for years. That's why more responsible Americans are choosing to lead with less lethal force. Byrna less lethal launchers fire tear gas and kinetic rounds designed to stop an attacker for up to 40 minutes, giving you the time to escape, create distance, and get help without using deadly force. It's a smarter first response. Your college-age kids can carry it. Your spouse can use it. Even aging parents can handle it confidently. Byrna's best-selling compact launcher is sleek, it's slim, and it's incredibly powerful. It's built for discreet, everyday carry, and it's legal in all 50 states. No background checks. It just ships directly to your door. So protect yourself. Protect your future. Start with less lethal. Visit Byrna.com and find the right launcher for your family. That's Byrna.com.
This is House Call for Health. The Make America Healthy Again movement is targeting a dangerous substance that's been alarming medical professionals for months. Some people calling it gas station heroin, being sold at stores across the country. It's called tianeptine, a largely unregulated antidepressant that can produce euphoria in high doses, can be more potent than morphine, and highly addictive. And now federal officials are stepping in. FDA Commissioner Marty McCary tells Fox News the agency is making a major push to regulate tianeptine products, claiming they hook people the same way as opioids, with addicts needing more and more as they sink deeper into addiction. The FDA wants to classify the drug as a Schedule I substance, meaning high potential for abuse and no accepted medical use. It is not approved for any medical use in the U.S. 14 states have restricted the sale of tianeptine, including Connecticut just last week. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Thursday, April 2nd, and here are your headlines. Metro Atlanta nonprofit is opening a new headquarters to help people transition out of homelessness, with 160 housing units now available for program graduates. Leaders with Georgia Works say they have already helped more than 1,200 men get jobs and off the street, with rent set well below market rates. Doctors are warning about possible vision risk linked to the popular GLP-1 weight loss drugs, including swelling of optic nerves that can lead to vision loss. Experts recommend getting a comprehensive eye exam before and shortly after starting the medication. And finally, a major literacy bill is now awaiting Governor Brian Kemp's signature, aiming to address low reading rates statewide. The plan would place literacy coaches in schools and come as about 60% of third graders are not reading on grade level. Coming up next, Brad Raffensperger sits down with Tug and Los on the Morning Extra. Today's weather will be mostly sunny with a high of 85 and a low of 63. With your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Gobert.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. We've been talking about this guest for the last couple of days, coming in at 9:25, and he is here, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. What about you guys?
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right, there we go.
Yeah,
Mic's
you
on.
doing all right?
Yeah, mic's on.
Okay, there we go. All good.
What's the campaign been like so far for you?
Every day's a new day. Every day's busy.
Okay, all right. Well, we are glad that you're here because we've talked about this a lot. that you probably have the most name recognition of anybody that's running for governor.
You have such a unique scenario compared to everyone else around the country.
Well, is that a fact?
That's how we described it. And so what our audience, you're in such a unique scenario because, there's people around the country that might know some of Georgia politics, but based on what's happened in recent years, you are somebody who's running for governor, but also there's people around the country that know from the 2020 election. And so it's almost like you're having to say, well, let me tell you what my vision is, but I also have to explain some of the things that happened in the past around here.
Well, not talking so much about the past, nothing to explain, because right now I'm the only person running for governor that's actually beaten Stacey Abrams and her allies over a dozen times in court because she's never wanted us to check citizenship. And we're trying to make sure that only American citizens vote, only American citizens on the voter list. And we've won every time we've met her or her allies in court. In fact, they sued us about a month ago. They just continue on. But at the end of the day, our elections are free, fair, and fast. And that's according to Fox News, election night 2024. He said Georgia and Florida run the best elections in the entire country. And he's half right. Georgia runs the best elections in the entire country.
Our guest, Brad Raffensperger, on the Morning Xtra and Xtra 106.3, running for governor here in the state of Georgia. Why do people have so many questions about 2020 still? Because our callers, we've had callers all morning that have serious concerns about that. Are our elections secure? Are our elections free and fair? Are they the best? Why do people have so many questions still?
Well, I think many people get confused by terms because they're not out there actually as a poll worker. Number one, we have a paper ballot. You can audit any election. And so that's really important that they know that we can do this. We're checking citizenship. That's really important. In fact, the feds are trying to work on their SAVE Act. Well, we already do that stuff here in Georgia. We make sure that we verify citizenship, make sure we have a clean voter list, making sure that we have photo ID when you show up to vote. And it's about 75% of people all show up to vote, and we have quick results, and we have lines less than an hour. We think that's all tremendous. So at the end of the day, I think, when I'm talking to folks out in Georgia, what they're really asking, who's going to take care of what's really, where we're at right now. And that's really affordability. And it's not that buzzword that Democrats are using or everyone's talking about. It's really the pain points of, housing is too high, whether it's buying a house or renting a home. Food's too much. Healthcare's too high. And now gas is too high. And so you're seeing people that are having to get a second job. You're seeing seniors right now. They're saying, Brad, do you know, I don't know if I can stay in my home. There's actually a lady.
Property taxes?
Property taxes, yeah. Absolutely. There's a lady in DeKalb County a week ago. She came up beside me. She's still in the workforce. She said, about 7 years ago, we bought our home in DeKalb County, paid $2,000 a year. It's now $11,000. And she just kind of turned and walked away. I wanted to ask her one question. Did your income go up $9,000 in the last 7 years? And what do you think her answer would have been?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And that's what you're seeing right now is people are getting pushed, and that's why I'm running to make sure that we cap property taxes for everyone. And for our seniors, we eliminate all non-essential property taxes for them and also quit taxing them on their retirement benefits. We're actually taxing our seniors on their retirement benefits, IRAs, pensions, 401ks, Social Security. We're one of 14 states that do it, and I think it's enough is enough. They've worked hard. They've earned it. It's their money. They should be able to keep it.
Let's talk about what's been so important in the news, the SAVE Act, and you have 80 to 85% of Americans across the board that all believe that voter ID laws should be available. Now, considering that what has gone through on your watch, we've now seen record turnout in the state of Georgia. And it's not just Republicans, that's Democrats, everyone being able to vote. What has been your opinion when you start to see some of the people from the Democrat side that say somehow having ID is somehow restrictive to voting?
We get sued on that. We have been sued on that, and we actually won it. Had to go to appeal, but when we did win, it allowed us to continue to use photo ID and also driver's license. So our driver's license has the little star on it if you're an American citizen, and that verifies citizenship. So DDS does a robust check, but then we go ahead and do our own check, and then the counties do a check to make sure people are American citizens and making sure that no one's getting onto the system. What you look at with the SAVE Act is really just doing what we do in Georgia already. And what you look at is over 95% of all people showing up to vote are using their driver's license. But we do accept other forms of identification. I've told the General Assembly now for 2 sessions, and they still haven't done it, is we need to pass real ID, and the only thing we would take is a real ID. And if you don't have the money, don't need a driver's license, we'll give you one for free, because that's what we did about 15 years ago when we passed photo ID to get it through the scrutiny of the courts, so we didn't get sued by the left. But if we do that, then we'll have real ID for everything, because you need real ID to get on an airplane. You need real ID to get into federal office building. I think you should have to have real ID to vote. We do that, and we're just another way of shoring it up. And what it does is it builds trust, and trust is confidence, and that's what you want. It works together hand in hand.
Our guest is Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State of the state of Georgia and running for governor in the state. Since we're talking about voting, what are the specific and the steps that we've taken since 2020 to make sure that chain of custody for ballots cannot be broken or obscured or messed up at the local level? What are we doing there to make sure that that doesn't happen?
Well, actually, the two biggest things I think we did with, the Election Integrity Act of 2021 is, first of all, we've now using photo ID for your absentee ballots. Because and most people are using the driver's license number. Before it was signature match, now it's signature match plus putting down your driver's license number, a unique identifier. That really shores up people's confidence in that. And only about 5 or 6% are voting absentee, but we still want to make sure it's secure. I think that's really important. And then number two, prior to the Election Integrity Act, the Secretary of State, no one had any authority to actually fire a inept, incompetent county election director. Now we have a process that you can do a review, and Fulton County has been under 2 reviews, since 2021. And so that's really powerful that we went back and did a look of what happened in 2020, and then that just kind of led to some other questions. And then after the election of 2022, they still had some mistakes and they still had some issues, so they're put under review again. So that's a good way that there's accountability. And it should be all 159 counties can be accountable, just because you can end up a county finally gets its act together, but what about another county? They start, sliding away. So you always want to have accountability. Finally, we have some accountability, and that's really handled through the state election board. But at the end of the day, there is accountability finally, and I think that's really shored up a lot of confidence in folks.
I think given the history, this is an important question, because we've heard from even somebody like Governor DeSantis, because of him going through the primary process against Donald Trump. It was, how do you plan on working with the administration moving forward? If you find yourself in that position of being Georgia governor, how do you see working with the Trump administration, given the history that we've had in the last several years?
Oh, I think we'll work with them great, because my focus is on the people of Georgia. I work for the people of Georgia. So what do we need to do to get along with Washington? Well, first of all, we agree with President Trump on 2 really important things. Number one is he shut the border down. He didn't need any new laws. He just shut it down, and look at that, 90 days, probably even 60, it was shut down. And so now that meant all of a sudden a lot of the illegal people coming across, that was stopped. But what about the drugs, human trafficking? So those are things that, we should have never allowed to get out of hand under the Biden administration. And then number 2, he wants to reshore manufacturing back to America. If you ask people on both sides of the aisle, but you ask people, they say, boy, we have hollowed out our blue collar middle class. And all those jobs went to China. We want them back. And what's going to come back, though, is the good-paying jobs, the advanced manufacturing. Boy, does Georgia have a great story to tell. So we'll partner with anyone that wants to partner with us. And President Trump wants to do that. And as governor, I'm going to be making sure that's what we do, is focus on bringing back jobs, good jobs. Because my number one goal as your governor is going to make sure that we create great-paying jobs. You want to change a person's life from Monday to Friday, get them a good-paying job. That's my focus. And that's what really is how you take a dent, and that's how you beat that affordability issue. You get more money in your pocket, then you go ahead and cap property taxes for everyone, and then for our seniors, you eliminate all non-essential taxes, and you also quit taxing them on the retirement bench. You do those 4 things, and people are going to have a good life. That also means we got to get trades education back into our high schools. We're short 5 million electricians right now in America. Well, we're short electricians here in Georgia.
I will tell you, we actually have our representative, Dr. Rich McCormick, who he has his son graduate 4-year degree, and he's planning on electrical school, because that is an area where if you want to talk about AI, proofing your future, that's one way to go ahead and do it. And I think a lot of these jobs that have been traditionally looked at as blue collar, I'm using my hands, that has been largely made fun of by the left, that is a bright future in this country if we can get them back and start creating more of those people.
And I really want to give a shout to, I come out of the construction industry. I'm a structural engineer, licensed contractor. But the construction trades industry, they're actually going into these high schools and having competitions and training.
Skills USA is an organization doing that.
And they're doing that. And then they have this competition between high schools.
That's right.
And so then they'll show on the board, they had one in Columbus, how much you would make as an electrician. They showed $32.50. Then for plumbers, it was $35. Surprised me. But I thought that was still tremendous. And then they had welders, and then they had cement masons, all these different trades. And then you think about HVAC technicians, people, sheet metal workers. There's so many things. In fact, the AJC had an article about 3 months ago. This young fellow, 21 years old, making over $100,000 a year, working on one of these, mid-rise, high-rise type projects. He's already bought a house. He's getting married. So you think he is on his way, and he really enjoys life because he has no student loan debt, making over $100,000. And that's the American dream. And we need to work hard at reshoring manufacturing back to America, getting people into trades because there's a shortage of that. We have UCB coming out there halfway between Athens and Atlanta, and they're going to be, advanced biomedical, where they're going to need people in the skilled industry. So they'll need some people with, advanced, degrees, obviously coming out of college. They'll also need people, technical schools, but they're also going to need people that are just skilled tradespeople for those manufacturing projects. And that's going to be thousands of jobs right there.
Our guest, go ahead, finish.
No, what I will say is Governor Kemp has done a tremendous job. And you have to think, for 4 years, he was fighting the Biden administration because they had different attitudes and different worldviews. Now he's finally had, he's finishing up for 2 years with President Trump, and I'm sure that he feels, boy, I finally have someone that thinks like us, thinks like a business person, wants to create jobs. And he's done tremendous, and now he's going to go out on a really high mark.
Our guest is running for governor here in the state of Georgia. Brad Raffensperger is currently the Secretary of State. I have a cousin who's a lineman, very similar to the example that you just gave. Just got married. He can't buy a house because he's not home long enough. He's on the road working all the time. So I understand that, and the skilled trades is so stinking important. The phone call heard around the world. That is something that we get calls about with some sort of regularity. Do you think Donald Trump should have been prosecuted here in the state of Georgia because of what happened in 2020?
No. I think that obviously it was lawfare. It just kept on going on. And, I know that some people, politically there was things, but if you talk to most lawyers, they just said, it just didn't have the laurels. I'm an engineer, but the lawyer just said no. It's just really pushing buttons, and it backfired on the Democrats. First of all,
of course,
Joe Biden, he didn't do a good job. Open borders and high inflation, and look, that's one of the reasons we have this affordability crisis. And then they, put up Kamala Harris. She would have been an absolute disaster. And that's
as
why
a president.
Well, she was an absolute disaster as a vice president.
Well, who would have known that the mugshot, and we go back through some of the history of this stuff, at the time you had Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump basically polling at the same number. As soon as the lawfare kicked in, it kicked his career back into overdrive, and you started to see so much of the corruption on the left. I know you obviously had to go to court to deal with a lot of this stuff, but I think for the everyday American, they went, what kind of society am I living in where a former president is being prosecuted in this way?
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, also when you look at the Democrats going back to Kamala Harris, she was just weak on crime. And actually right now, the Democrats' number one person that they have that they're holding up is Keisha Lance Bottom. I don't think anyone should, hopefully they haven't forgotten, when she was mayor, the city of Atlanta was on fire.
Do a little homework, yeah.
They need, they don't have to do, and a little bit of homework. It won't take you a lot.
No.
Because first of all, they shut down the interstate, they burned out Wendy's, and then a fellow had his bulldozer, firebombed, and so it was $1 million worth of damage there. And so it delayed it, and they talked about they wanted public safety, but then she was in effect, Keisha Lance Bottom was leading the defund the police movement. And so that's the person I'll be facing in the fall. And I'm going to beat her because she's not good for public safety. She's not good for jobs. Jobs were fleeing Atlanta, people were fleeing Atlanta, and the schools were going downhill. We need good schools. If we're going to attract industry, we need to have someone that has safe communities. And one of my goals is making sure that we have, police training bonuses, retention bonuses, so we keep our law enforcement. because there's been lasting negative consequences of her defund the police movement. We need to make sure that people understand it's respected. We need to get wages up. And these counties and cities that don't have the resources, we're going to have to come alongside them with state resources to make sure they're fully funded with the full contingent of law enforcement officers. And then our schools, we need to make sure they're safe. Governor Kemp led on that $50,000 school safety grant. We need to increase that to $100,000, but we also now need to expand that to include our private schools, our Christian schools, charter school, public school, all schools, wherever the students. We need to make sure all students are safe. And we can do that by doubling the school safety grants.
Let me ask you about schools, because I've long had the theory, people for years would say failing communities create failing schools. I think it's complete opposite. You have good community, you have good schools, you'll have great communities. It's just how it goes. And we've now seen nationwide, the further that the left has pushed some of their programs, the worse the results have been, to the point where even a state like Mississippi that had problems for years, they now have a higher level of graduation rates, and some of the scores they're putting up versus Western, Californias and such of the world. How much is the focus on not just what we're providing for the safety of schools, but what's being taught in our schools, to leave that to educators and parents and keep that out of the politicians' hands?
Well, Carlos, you were just teeing me up for my next point. Well, right now, this year, the General Assembly is talking about reading and writing at the fourth grade level. Mississippi's actually ranked number 9, and we're in the 20s. And so what happened in Georgia is we went through this whole language learning, and it doesn't work. It was just, came up, some college professor's grand idea, but it was never really tested. So we're going back to phonics. Our Christian schools, our private schools, they went back to phonics years ago, so they've not seen that dip. And some counties went back to phonics. But now we're going back and pushing phonics, and we can catch Mississippi in 5 years. That's really important. And the other key metric is 8th grade mathematics. If they don't catch mathematics by the 8th grade, they're not going to catch it ever through high school. And that's something that if we're going to have an advanced technology society, which is where we're going, we need to make sure some people have the math skills, and then also reading and writing. I'm an engineer, but you're going to have to read something. You have to read a set of blueprints. You're going to have to read documents, and you have to, it's important for everyone that's out there in the workforce. And so those are two areas that are really important, because it's part of, the building blocks for what we want to do with advanced manufacturing and just really attracting more technology, more good-paying jobs to Georgia.
Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State, running for governor. Do you have a few more minutes to hang out?
I do.
We got a few more questions I'd like to get to, because I want to know what separates you policy-wise from the people that you're running against in the primary. What separates you? What's different about it? And what do y'all agree on? We'll ask those questions.
How are we going to get rid of that income tax?
And how? Because let me tell you, I hate taxes worse than anybody on planet Earth.
We've hit that month. Yeah, so, all I can think about.
Well, yeah, because everybody's cutting checks. I just got a check. Secretary of State Raffensperger, maybe you cut a check too. So we'll talk about that next on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3.
Xtra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Thursday, April 2nd. The Atlanta Braves took the rubber match of their 3-game series with the Athletics yesterday afternoon. 5-1 the final as the team now heads out west. They'll put up a 4-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks beginning tonight. It'll be Ronaldo Lopez on the mound. He'll be opposed by Ryan Nelson. First pitch is set for 9:40. You can hear all the Braves action on our sister station, 680 The Fan and the Fan app. From the NBA, the Atlanta Hawks keep rolling. The team went on the road last night, blew out the Orlando Magic 130-101. Nickeil Alexander-Walker scored 32. Jalen Johnson, another double-double, grabbing 14 rebounds to go along with scoring 18 points. The Hawks are off until Friday night when they play the Nets in Brooklyn. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
Attention, Antifa, human traffickers, cartels, and woke DAs. With Chris Carr's governor, you won't stand a chance.
I'm Chris Carr. In Georgia, we will prosecute you. It's easy for politicians to talk tough, but I'm the only Republican who put gangs, human traffickers, and Antifa behind bars. I even fought Obama, Biden, and Abrams in court and won. If you're attacking our police or our freedoms, I'll be your worst nightmare.
Chris Carr doesn't just talk tough. Carr had the courage
brought the cases, and locked up the criminals. He has more than 120 gang convictions. Over 200 human trafficking victims have been rescued and seized enough fentanyl to kill 3.5 million Georgians. Carr's taking on the woke left, making crime illegal again. As governor, Chris Carr will keep up the fight and never back down. Chris Carr, governor. Real fights, real wins, real conservative. Paid for by Carr for Georgia.
It's still the greatest form of advertising, word of mouth. If we could bottle it and sell it, we'd be rich. But we can't. That's what keeps it honest. Hi, I'm Dan Watkins, owner of All Four Seasons. From garage doors to entry doors to windows, for every opening of your home, we've got you covered. Talk to your neighbors. Chances are we've worked on their home. They'll tell you all about their 5-star experience with All Four Seasons. When trust matters, trust us. All, the number 4, seasonsgarages.com.
Hey, this is John Flading. I'm the president and owner of ATL Turf Co. We are a family-owned, operated, independent local company. We have over 15 years of artificial grass design, installation, and sales experience. From premium artificial lawns and backyards, custom putting greens, sports fields, hardscape, drainage. We do both residential and commercial. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
Did you know that silver may be undervalued today? AI, electric vehicles, even Russia's central bank are all creating a massive demand for silver. The question is, are you buying silver? With supply still lagging, this silver surge may just be getting started. Don't miss out. Request your free report today. Riding the 2026 Silver Surge from the #1 rated precious metals company, Goldco. Right now, get up to 10% in free gold or silver, a free home safe, and if you buy your precious metals with cash, you could even get your metals stored for free. Goldco has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, over 8,000 5-star customer reviews, and has placed over $1 billion in gold and silver. So don't wait. Call 855-936-GOLD. That's 855-936-GOLD. Once again, 855-936-GOLD.
You've worked hard to build your investments, but are they positioned the right way from a tax perspective? Because it's not just what you make, it's what you keep. Hi, I'm David Nicholas, president of Nicholas Wealth Management. Many investors don't realize that their portfolios may be creating unnecessary tax exposure. Capital gains, required minimum distributions, inefficient account placement can quietly reduce your returns, especially as you approach retirement. At Nicholas Wealth Management, we help clients evaluate whether their investments are structured in a tax-efficient way, looking beyond performance to understand how taxes impact income today and your legacy tomorrow. Are your assets in the right accounts? Are there opportunities to reduce further tax liability? Is your strategy aligned with your long-term retirement goals? Call Nicholas Wealth Management today, 678-990-8500. Schedule a complimentary review. That's 678-990-8500 or visit nicholaswealth.com. Nicholas Wealth Management, helping you keep more of what you've worked so hard to build.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm. This is for informational purposes only and is not specific investment advice.
You and your buddy, you've been through a lot with each other. The ups and the downs. He's been with you every morning, noon, and night. You've traveled the world together. Heck, he was even with you on your first big date. But have you noticed he's struggling lately? Not performing on the job. He can't even stand up straight anymore. He's wanting to cry out for help, but just doesn't know how. He needs Dr. Deal and Total Body Therapy of Georgia. They can give him the gift of good posture this year, help him stand proud and become all he was meant to be. Now, take him by the hand, look him in the eye and say, "I appreciate you, little fella, and we're going to get you some help." We're going to call 404-777-1911. We're going to visit tbtofga.com. We are going to say goodbye to erectile dysfunction forever. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. It's a hard conversation to have, but it's one worth having. Total Body Therapy of Georgia. Online at tbtofga.com.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. Make sure you download the app if you missed any of the conversation that we've had with Georgia gubernatorial candidate and Secretary of State here, Brad Raffensperger. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking the time and not dodging questions, because there were people that thought you might. When they called in, they're like, he's not going to answer these questions for you. So the fact that you did says a lot about you. I think that probably moves the needle with people.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. I want to talk about the differences in you and the other three candidates, at least on the Republican side, as we're going into the primary. The things that you see that they're doing and that you agree with, and then the ones that, probably more importantly, that you would go the other way on.
Well, number one, I'm a Christian conservative businessman, and I had a 100% rating when I came out of the House of Representatives here in Georgia, 100% rating from Faith and Freedom Coalition. So that surprised folks. They thought it was this little darling that ran around as the party puppy. But I actually had the voting record. And so I've just always been very conservative. As a business owner, you're going to be, because it's tough out there, especially in the construction business, boom, bust. And then really, God got a hold of me. I guess I was raised in the church, but just my faith just deepened and deepened. It started with having our first child. And like a lot of folks, and just kept on, really deepening my faith, and then eventually ended up running the men's ministry at a pretty large church in Alpharetta, Johns Creek area, and then actually co-led a group of boys, middle school boys, for 3 years over at North Point. I've done some prison ministry with the folks at Perimeter Church. We used to go out to Gwinnett Youth Detention Center. That was, really rewarding to go out Saturday mornings just to trying to speak some, truth into people's lives, because you see the path they're on. And if they had, how do you help them, really grab a hold of their faith and realize there's a better path? And so faith's really important to me, and because I guess my faith's so strong, we lost our oldest son due to a fentanyl overdose in 2018. We don't talk about it much. Yeah. But I don't know how people get through some of the situations that you can have. Like, what happens when your child is hit with cancer? Will they survive? Will they get through it? What happens there? And that same son that died of fentanyl actually had stage 3B Hodgkin's lymphoma about 8 years earlier. So, we've been through an awful lot business-wise, but, Trish and I, we met in high school, got married when I was halfway through engineering school, and I tell that, and people just say, wow, no one does that anymore. But we've been blessed. We now have grandkids. But faith is really a big part of what I do. And really in public service, we're not in this for us. We're in it for people. And it's really, it's about giving back. How do you make people's lives better? And that's really about why jobs are so important. How do you reduce their tax burdens so that they can keep more of what they were? They're working hard. It's like I try and tell these legislators when we're in the Capitol, when you see the lights are on, you got AC or you got heat, that was paid for by a taxpayer. And so we need to always be mindful, stretch the dollar. How do we stretch that dollar and get them value? And you have to run that almost like a free market private enterprise organization, because we're always stretching the dollar, but also to keep our clients happy. So we have to give them great service, but we also have to be very efficient with what we have. And so when you're efficient with your resources and you come with that mindset, I think that's what really drives me, because I've been a business owner. Our first business was a child care center. And that's when you really see what families are struggling with, and you never lose sight of that. And then in the construction business, you can never get ahead of yourself, because you have these good times, and then all of a sudden you have these times where you're transitioning. So I think faith is a big part of what drives me, and then making sure that we have a great future for Georgia, and that gets back to just creating good paying jobs. And I have a plan for that. And everyone tells me it doesn't poll, but I do have a couple of distinctives that no one else does. And I'm the only one that's ever done some infrastructure projects. I did the 675 bridges, years ago, and I understand how roads work, because that's how I've been trained, and I've actually built them. Did a couple state cable bridges, done some big things, and we need to work on traffic improvements. So I salute Governor Kemp for the $1.7 billion for that Henry County, getting the toll lanes going both ways. Because I drive up and down that road an awful lot. But just imagine if you're a young couple and you got to drive that every morning coming to work.
Well, let's talk about, we're talking about making people whole, and you've been involved with making sure that some of these Ponzi schemes and some of these issues that have gone on in the past, that we're getting people back their money rather than it, as you were pointing out, going straight back to the state. Talk about that and how important that is, because that's also a differentiator when you can say, I have fought for people to make them whole again based off of how they were taken advantage of.
Well, absolutely. So we have a securities division, and we started investigating in conjunction with the federal SEC a Ponzi scheme that was described as a $140 million Ponzi scheme about First Liberty Building and Loan. I've already hit 3 people with a $500,000 maximum fine that we can hit them with. But we yesterday had a great announcement that one of the insurance companies came alongside and said this person worked, one of the members of the First Liberty brought these people, but they leveraged.
They led them in.
They were leveraging their position with our company, and so they came and they said we're going to make all of these 49 people whole, and that came out to a tune of $7 million. So these folks are going to get whole, and that's about 1/3 of the total folks. So we're continuing to just kind of peel back that onion. It's very complicated. There's money. It's almost as complicated as chasing, some guy that's trying to ping you, with cyber, so trying to get in. Well, that's what they did with banks and moving money around. But we're weaving that out and pulling it apart and finding out where the money went and, who, is really a part of this, who's a victim, and then also who was part of this whole fraud. And so we're going to fight hard. We actually announced a special investigator about 2 months ago, and his whole background is investigating financial fraud. And we're getting a lot of information. We're speeding up this thing. My term finishes up 1st of January, and with good Lord, help, we'll get an answer to all this, and we'll get as much money back. But the fellow we had yesterday with us at the Capitol when we announced this, he had been defrauded $1.3 million, and he'll be 93 years old this year. They were preying on people that are 60, 70, 80, and 90 years old. And you have to just understand that is reprehensible. To hold yourself out as a Christian, conservative, Republican, and then you bring people into a fraud, and you are defrauding them.
Very disappointing, without a doubt. Quickly, there's been a lot of discussion, as we talked to Brad Raffensperger, is the candidate for governor, Secretary of State, the elimination of the income tax in Georgia to match Florida and Tennessee. How do you see that? Can that happen? Is it a good thing if it happens? And how do you make it happen?
It would be a good thing. But the first thing we can do, because it's the fastest thing you can do, is start capping property taxes. Because if you ask them, okay, you're paying your federal taxes this month, go back and look, how much did you pay for property taxes, how much you pay for state income tax, how much you pay for federal? We know Fed's the big one. Can't do anything about that.
Right.
But they're going to probably say, my property taxes are actually the same as what I'm paying right now. We can actually reduce that right now. The Senate plan was actually taking that and reducing it over 7 years. That sounds good if they're young like you. You're 35 years old, something like that. But what about someone that is 75 years old? And you say it's going to take 7 years. They're looking at you saying, Brad, I'll be 82 years old. What am I supposed to do with that? I don't even know if I'll be alive. Could you get me property tax reductions now? That's job one. And then we'll start looking at reducing the income tax. That'll be stage 2.
That would be a huge help. I know that we're always concerned about our schools and our roads and all of the social services, and so I am willing to make sure that is typically paid for through my property taxes. But yeah, when you've seen the jump that we have seen, I'm in far north Forsyth County, and yes, the property values have grown, but to see how much that has gone up, just as you alluded to before, versus what the take-home pay is, those two have been out of whack for a lot of Georgians.
Yeah, and the challenge we really have is sometimes when you give a politician or a bureaucrat money, they'll figure out how to spend it. And, that's the problem. They don't think about giving it back.
I got a 15-year-old and 11-year-old daughter in my home. They're the same thing there, too.
Are you concerned at all that if you're elected governor, that we're going to run across some sort of fraud that we don't know about, like we've been seeing in other states around the country?
Well, I think that I always support doing audits to make sure that we're not being defrauded by people that want the easy life, and that what they're doing is living off the taxpayer. Because I believe that everyone should have work. My first job, I started, actually going out to a golf course. I wasn't supposed to be on there, but we'd walk through the creek, pick up golf balls, and then we'd try and resell them, make 25 cents, 50 cents a golf ball. Then I was picking up rocks one summer because they didn't have a driver's license from a sod farm before they, seeded it. So I always finding what jobs, and I became an iron worker from 16 all the way through college. Hard work, but that allowed propelled me to have money for college and actually get married to Tricia when I was going halfway through engineering school.
There you go. How do people find out more about you, Brad?
It's Brad for Governor. Incorporated at bradforgeorgia.com. Bradforgeorgia.com.
There you go. Easy to find him. Appreciate your time today. Thank you for coming and talking to our listeners on the Morning Extra. And we wish you nothing but success, man. Best of luck.
Have a great sunny day.
Yes, sir. Absolutely right. For Brad and for Los and Bryce, too, my name is Tug. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Fighting the communists with truth every day on the only conservative news and talk station in Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
It's official. President Trump has endorsed Burt Jones for governor.
Burt Jones has been an incredible leader. This man has my complete and total endorsement, and I really want to see him win.
Burt Jones is a trusted Trump conservative who's leading the fight to end Georgia's state income tax.
He's going to make a great, great governor. You will be very happy, Georgia. Burt Jones has my complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Burt Jones for Georgia.
Golf fans, listen up. April 24th through 26th, the Mitsubishi Electric Classic presented by Venture takes over TPC Sugarloaf, and they're playing a modified Stableford. Birdies score big, Eagles score bigger. Pars, not enough. It rewards aggressive play, so these PGA Tour champions legends have to attack and make it happen. More risk, more birdies, more excitement. Get your tickets now at MitsubishiElectricClassic.com. That's MitsubishiElectricClassic.com. April 24th through 26th at TPC Sugarloaf.